Please welcome to the stage from 11 Alive, Maria Martin.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? Oh, come on, we can do better than that. Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you so much. Great to see you. How's it going? Thank you so much for being here this morning/afternoon. I cannot tell you how much work goes into this amazing, incredible event. This is, hard to believe, my 4th year doing this event, so I love to see some familiar faces in the audience. Got to catch up with a bunch of people that I've met over the years, and this is bigger and better than ever. If you've been here in the past, you know how much this event has truly grown. It's astonishing. 5th year anniversary, and we have such a robust amount of panelists, and they have so many great things to say. What's cool is I was reminiscing a little bit on the last 4 years that I've done this. Conversations that we had 3 years ago, we talked about, what is this NIL thing? Have you heard of the NIL? Where are we now? Fast forward to 3 years, it's all we can talk about, right? Youth sports was just beginning to boom. It's always been a thing. Obviously, you're standing at the pinnacle of youth sports, LakePoint, here in Georgia. But you fast forward to 4 years later, just talking about when I've been able to be a part of this event, so lucky and fortunate to have done that, you look at how much it has grown. And the conversations that you're going to listen to today will set you up for past, present, and future when it comes to so many different things. So we're very excited about that. I want to thank our partners for this morning. If you're watching at home, thank you for joining us. We're gonna have a wonderful afternoon. The streaming is by Sports Engine, so thank you guys so much for providing that. If you have a chance, please, in between eating and enjoying this morning's conversations, go in the back and see Skill Tap Sweatbands and Shrunk 3D East Cobb. They're in the back, they'll take care of you, have some great conversations back there. Also wanna thank Coke United, ETA Creative Event Producers, Alatuna Grills for producing the incredible food today, Element by Weston, and Publix. Thank you to our sponsors, round of applause. So for those of you not familiar with who I am, I'll give you a very quick synopsis. I am Maria Martin. I am the lead sports anchor at 11 Alive. You might have saw me last night at 11 o'clock if you were up. If not, watching the World Series, don't blame you. You'll also see me later today, all this afternoon, and then I'll be on TV for the rest of the day too. So busy, and I'm happy to be a part of the Atlanta community. Been here for 6 years, proud to call it my home, and so proud to call the LakePoint sports community my friends as well. So it is my honor to welcome the man of the hour always, President and CEO of LakePoint Sports, my friend Mark O'Brien.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations.
How about a round of applause for Maria, please? Thank you, Maria.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, you know, we're thrilled to have you all here, and as Maria noted, it's an exciting couple of hours here that we've got lined up, and really the whole purpose of the National Youth Sports Summit, when it was really from the beginning 5 years ago, the idea was around how do we convene, connect, and collaborate with the industry's biggest leaders in the space, in this $40 billion industry that is the travel and youth sports industry. And so as we embarked on that, here we are, 5 years later, celebrating the 5th anniversary. We've got great partners. We've got a full room, but we have millions from all over the world watching on the live stream right now, maybe not that many, but we're thrilled to have our partners on board with us and the steps that we've made. Greg Barkoff and the team that have really pulled this together have done a really phenomenal job. Our mission is really, like I said, convene, connect, and collaborate with the industry leaders, investors, brands, and businesses. Ultimately, our purpose is to really create a better youth sports experience for our kids and our country. Because as we talk about youth sports, it's near and dear to my heart as a child that played sports throughout my childhood years, through high school, through college. But really some of the challenges we face today, and we'll touch on that. But there's actually a lot more good news in the space. And while the headlines might speak to some of those challenges, we want to really shine a light on some of the momentum that's out there. And we're going to share some of that information with you. So we're excited to talk about really how white hot the industry is. And what we mean by that is you really can't look at any publication today in just all the headlines that are capturing the industry, speaking to the growth, the momentum, the investment. It's really been a juggernaut over the past 3, 4, 5 years. And we're going to touch on some of the growth. Some of the numbers that you're going to see today are astronomical, from participation data all the way to startups and acquisitions and investments in the space. So we're going to get into a lot of that today as well. But before we get into that, I do want to introduce a good friend of mine from, he was a partner last year. He was a pro panelist. And this year, he and his organization came on board to be a presenting sponsor. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Will McIntosh. Will, as I mentioned, you were a pro panelist last year, and you enlightened all of us with a lot of the information on at the time NBC Sports Next, and all the work that you were leading under that organization. And we were thrilled to have you as a pro panelist. But then all of a sudden, here you are as a presenting partner of the National Youth Sports Summit. So share with us a little bit about that journey, how we got from pro panelist to presenting partner, and now we're live streaming this event around the world as we speak.
Yeah, well, first, Mark, I just want to say thanks for having us back. You and LakePoint have been amazing partners, and we are greatly appreciative. I know this is, I think, year 5 overall, but it's our second year of being really involved, and I mean, this is an amazing facility. We have a great partnership, primarily through our Sports Engine Play streaming product. I know Nick Busto, who runs that business for us, will be up here a little bit later to talk about it, but it's been an amazing year for our business. Sports Engine's still one of the market leaders in what we do, and it, along with 9 other businesses inside of Comcast and NBC Universal, is being spun out into a new public company called Versant. Matt Hong, who runs the sports media business for Versant, is going to be up here in a little bit talking to Maria about all the great things happening in that part of the business, and he's got some direct connectivity to the youth and recreation sports ecosystem as well. So we couldn't be more proud to be here. I think this is needed for the industry. It's amazing that you guys have taken the lead on that, so we're just thankful to be part of it.
Well, thank you, and we're excited to hear from Matt shortly. But the Versant Digital Platforms and Ventures. Can you speak a little bit more about the breadth and depth of what that actually means and what you're embarking on under this new platform, or is it too kind of hush hush right now?
No. I mean, this is kind of it's been almost 20 years in the making, and it started off when we started investing in building out a business called Golf Now, which is now the largest online tee time reservation service and golf course management software provider in the world. And then that evolved into youth and recreation sports back in 2014, 2015, when we started looking at this space along with many others. And we saw an opportunity to invest in Sports Engine, and that's been an amazing business for us and a run. And then a few years ago, in the entertainment part of what we do, we added Fandango, which is the largest digital movie ticketing platform in the U.S., and Rotten Tomatoes, which is known for critical and audience ratings and reviews, to the portfolio. So that is what digital platforms and ventures are. And if you think about, the way I think about it is we really do 2 things across all 3 of those verticals. We connect people to their passion. And for those of you that are in this room, if you're a mom or dad with kids that play sports, or you're involved in youth and travel sports, it's a very passionate audience. And then we work with small and medium-sized businesses every day to help them run and grow their businesses. That could be golf courses, that could be youth and recreation sports organizations, or it could be movie theaters. And we're happy to be part of Versant. I'm happy to be partnering with Matt, and we're really excited about the future.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and what I really like about your story is that this isn't a new venture. This isn't something that just started. This has been something that you've been working on for a decade, building this infrastructure around digital platforms and ventures. And so really excited to continue down that path, that journey with you, and hear from Matt today. And just really thank you for being the presenting partner in the National Youth Sports Summit. And we're looking forward to a great day ahead.
Yeah, well, thank you. Look, I think it's a time of innovation and evolution in the business, and we're seeing new entrants, both strategic and financial, every day. I think that just speaks to what many of us in this room know, which is that every part of the life cycle of sports, there's this immense opportunity. Yeah. And, you know, looking forward to a great agenda, and excited to be your partners, and we'll gladly support this in the years to come, so thank you.
Gladly support this for the years to come. I like that. Thank you. Will McIntosh, thank you. So as we embark on really the program, I think we're starting the first segment.
Yeah.
Is that right? And
You're right.
I think the team is actually here. You're stuck with me for a little bit longer. So, but we're going to have a gentleman I've gotten to know over the last few months, and he recently stepped into the role as president and CEO for the Sports and Fitness Industry Association, SFIA, as many refer to it as. It's great to have Todd and his organization here. He has a tremendous amount of data and insight that he's going to share with us. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome up to the stage Todd Smith.
Thank you, Mark.
One last time for Maria as Todd and I jump into it. Thank you, Maria. So Todd, before maybe we click the next slide, because one of the things I want to hit upon is just, and everyone's seen this number, a $40 billion total addressable market for the travel and youth sports industry, which is astonishing when you put that number up against the likes of the NFL, MLB, NBA, and you see the breadth and depth of opportunity in this space, which goes back to what I talked about a few minutes ago about being white hot. And the industry truly is white hot. So, you know, as one of the things that we wanted to do is I talked to Todd, and Todd, I'll turn it over to you, because, I mean, nobody knows the SFIA data and research better than you, yeah. And your organization is at the top of the mountain in terms of data and research, particularly around participation. So while the numbers are astonishing from a total addressable market, what's more astonishing is the participation data. So I'll flip it over to you here.
Appreciate it, Mark. Great to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. To Mark's point, from SFIA's standpoint, as we think about growth of the industry, particularly at the youth level, we really measure that by participation and participation rates. So what we wanted to do is just give you a little bit of a snapshot of where we were at prior to the pandemic and how the industry's continued to rebound and now be at all-time highs. So we're excited to say that 2024 was the highest that we've had from a participation standpoint at the youth level. You'll see over 32 million youth are participating in team sports, which is tremendous. We broke that down for you so you could see the difference at the specific age groups there. As we look deeper into those numbers, obviously we're all aware of some of the narratives in terms of specialization and our youth at too early of an age participating in just one sport. So we wanted to showcase this slide just so you can see that it's pretty consistent across all ages, that they're really plus or minus 0.1 or 2 in terms of averaging participation in two sports across their athletic journey. We also wanted to make sure, and I think this is a really important reflection of how a participation journey for a young athlete can look, particularly at different sports. So you can see what participation rates are going to be for a 6-year-old and where those rank with regards to specific individual sports, and how that either ascends, descends, has an arch with that journey, or stays flat. We highlighted a couple of key sports that we know that we have some active participants in the room around. And we wanted to finish just again as in terms of a high-level state of play from a participation standpoint of really the top sports by gender with those two age brackets. So you have the 6 to 12 and the 13 to 17. I think what's interesting here is you have a couple of these key sports that stay at the top of the list as they continue through their journey, but you also see a couple that pop up later on in a young athlete's journey as they become a teenager and as they enter those high school sports years. I think what's important to note here is just the availability of different sports and why these trends might be happening. So if you think about a basketball or baseball being top of the participation rates at younger ages, obviously they stay consistent as that athlete gets older. But then you have some new sports like track and field, volleyball. Those start to pop up later in the athlete's journey because we tend to see those sports and activities being more readily available as they get older and as they get to those high school years.
So Todd, real quick on the participation data. I mean, this is rich data, very, very incredible and impressive. But there's a lengthy report that you guys publish every 2 years, I believe it is. And so while this is relatively recent data, it's from 2024, you have a new report coming out January 2026, is that?
Yeah, but appreciate the flag on that, Mark. And from a research standpoint, SFI really prides ourselves on being the industry leader from a participation research standpoint. So if anyone has any questions, come find me. We have a large research library on sfia.org. We release an annual participation report. For the first time this year, we released a half-year participation report. So what the numbers we're showing here reflect through the end of 2024. You can actually then see how some of those trends have carried or adjusted as we've entered or passed the halfway part for 2025. We also released a new report that actually surveyed youth sports parents and asked them more insights into what goes into their purchasing decisions. So why do they purchase specific sports equipment? How often do they purchase that equipment? What goes into those travel tournament decisions? Who are some of the key influencers that are really impacting those decisions? So would encourage you all to check that out. If you have any questions, again, happy to dive into that. What Mark and I also wanted to show, again, you can see this tremendous momentum that the industry and the participation rates have been on post-COVID. We feel like the sky continues to be the limit. I think, Mark, you said white hot, right? And this is some of the wind at all of our industries back. So from SFIA standpoint, we are really looking at the next 10 years. We're calling it our 2030 Forward campaign. So the Winter Olympic Games end or take place in 2034 in Salt Lake City. And between now and then, look at all, and this doesn't even capture all of them. There's a couple of key events we're missing that continue to get added to the schedule. But look at this amazing lineup of events that we as both leaders in the industry and then your general consumer are gonna see all the live events, all the marketing around. And this is really what's gonna drive those young athletes that are currently on the sidelines to possibly participate in sports that they otherwise wouldn't potentially not even know about.
Yeah. Well, and I think not only is the participation data incredible, but as you look at the tailwinds and these tentpole events that are going to be happening in our country, it gives all of us in the industry an incredible opportunity to engage not only the athletes, but the infrastructure around it to build upon the opportunity for more kids to play more sports, to have access to more sports, and really continue to see those participation numbers climb. Now, the reality is, if I may, there's challenges out there. So we can't hold an event here and suggest that it's all rainbows and unicorns. There's certainly challenges and headwinds in the industry. Specifically, we have to be cognizant around the health and wellness aspect of youth sports. Not only the physical side and you know the risk of injury because of specialization or the opportunities to diversify your sports play and participation, but the mental side as well, and the mental health and wellness of the student athletes in an environment. You'll hear from Arthur Blank later today in a video talk about the challenges that athletes face not only inside the lines but outside the lines because of the likes of social media and peer pressure. But you also see a lot around fragmentation in the marketplace, which has been well documented. We've got a lot of consolidation in the industry, which is great, but that also provides some turbulence as well that we need to kind of adjust and shift gears on. Accessibility and cost certainly continues to be a topic we're addressing. And then on the front line, I think one thing that doesn't get talked a lot about is coaches and umpires and referees and the shortages that we have there and the proper training for coaches and just the numbers that we need around umpires and referees. And the data would suggest that creates a more challenging environment inside the lines for the athletes, for the student athletes. So we need to really continue to address some of these topics as we have these tailwinds lifting the industry up.
Well, and we as leaders, I think we all have a responsibility to see those points as opportunities too. Yeah. Opportunities for growth, opportunities to continue to expand on the experience. So I appreciate you flagging that, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to jump on this slide here real quick. So as we talk about kind of, there's a lot of talk in the industry about all the challenges and all the issues. And while we could spend a whole day just on that, I think there's actually a much brighter side that Todd and I have talked about. When you look at the tailwinds, when you look at participation, we acknowledge that there's always going to be challenges, but there is a brighter path. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. And not a lot of people are talking about it. So we're going to shine a light on it today and talk a little bit about what we believe, or I believe, is the precipice of a youth sports transformation. So what I mean by that is, first and foremost, how do we define who's in youth sports? Well, it starts with the athletes, the coaches, the family members, and then I think the D1, D2, D3, JUCO coaches. It runs the gamut. And then you have pro scouts. And we have the pleasure of hosting all of them on our campus at some point in time throughout the year. But really understanding, how do you deliver excellence in the guest experience for each one of these really customers, as we think of it? And how do we create an environment in which they feel great about coming to an event that is on our campus, or really any campus, as we deliver excellence in the guest experience as an industry? And so while we may do some of that here at LakePoint, there's an opportunity for us to really look at a model that's more holistic, that's consolidated in many ways, but it's all about scalability. And we look at not only the full vertical integration of the operations, but do we have a system of venues? Maybe LakePoint is a flagship of venues, but others that are either strategically aligned or certified by the standards in which we put in place on delivering excellence in the guest experience across the country. And that's an important aspect of creating an environment that is more affordable and accessible to all athletes and families. And then we pick the key sports that Todd and his organization have identified as, hey, from a participation trend standpoint, these are the ones that are really of interest to the kids in our country, into our society. And that's the feeder system into maybe the professional leagues or maybe the Olympics. And so how do we approach this more holistically from a consolidated, scalable perspective, with the guest experience really driving costs down and providing a value proposition that everyone feels a lot better about? So one of the things I wanted to mention, in addition to that approach, is really, the leagues are moving in this direction already. You're seeing the leagues move from a line item that is youth sports, hey, we're doing something in youth sports, where they're truly investing in it as a platform. Think of the NFL and what they're doing with flag football, and how that has really galvanized the country around youth sports, and one sport in particular. You see what a lot of other major pro sports leagues are doing, from the Play Ball initiative to the Junior NBA to the NHL and MLS. And of course, today Sherry's going to be here talking about what the U.S. Soccer Federation is doing from a youth sports perspective as well. And RCX is on the front line, and Izel and his team are doing a tremendous job, RCX Sports, with the grassroots efforts of the leagues. But as they continue to prioritize youth sports as part of a strategy and not a tactic, I think we're on the precipice of a bigger opportunity in all of youth sports.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, please.
One thing I'll add there, too, I mean, we're fortunate from SFIA standpoint to work extremely closely with all those leagues and logos you had on. And I would make sure folks are aware, if you're running or operating facilities back in your respective hometowns, that a lot of the leagues and in conversations with the third-party operators, they're looking for more partners to help extend and grow those youth sports programs. So know that those are opportunities that aren't just being done through the league level, but they're also looking for on-the-ground partners. And I think that's a great example of new trends that we're starting to see as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point as well, as we also look at brands. So it's not only the leagues, but you have national brands. And we've got a few of them on the board here, the likes of Coca-Cola, for example, or Dick's Sporting Goods, who's really doing an incredible job right now, penetrating all facets of youth sports. Academy, not to be outdone, Academy has their own efforts in the space, along with the likes of Wilson and IHG, for example, in the travel part of travel sports. They've got a whole strategy around youth sports now. So it's really exciting to see the development of the platform overall and how it's being prioritized as a strategy for these organizations.
And we wanted to make sure, I mean, from SFIA's standpoint, we're fortunate just to be in great company with other nonprofits and leaders from the government side who are here to support the industry in any way we can, whether it's making it safer, whether it's increasing participation, providing research. So appreciate all the great work that our peers at NCYS, Wayne, that he's doing, that Tom at Aspen Institute's doing. And then hopefully you saw over the last 2 months that the administration recently reestablished the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, which we from SFIA's standpoint will be working very closely to figure out how we can scale that and really bring that mission and that council at a grassroots level too.
That's great, and it's all part of the broader evolving model that we're talking about, and it's how do we harness this momentum, make sure that we've got strategic investment in this holistic approach that we're talking about, and that we prioritize the guest experience with those key segments identified to really elevate the industry as a whole and create a value proposition to drive costs down and create more access for all athletes across the country. And the good news is, this isn't just hyperbole. It's actually happening. You see the work that Unrivaled Sports is doing. Kudos to them. You see the work that RCX Sports is doing in the space along the lines of what we're talking about. IMG, of course, arguably the best academy in the country, the work that they're doing, they're doing holistically. And a number of these other brands that really put forth the effort to prioritize their guests and the events themselves to make them best in class across the country for the athletes, the coaches, the family members, and the opportunities for the kids and their future aspirations.
So what Mark and I wanted to do as we transition to the final part here of the presentation is we've gone really towards the execution and what brands and organizations are doing. We just wanted to dive in at a high level in terms of some of the emerging themes or consistent themes that we've been seeing have really been matriculating across the industry. So we'll talk a little bit about the mixed-use developments, which clearly you have a lot of experience in here, Mark, and a couple other key themes.
Yeah, thank you. And as you look at these four, there's others that you could certainly highlight, but we felt like these four really spoke to really the industry at large. And as we look at consolidation, you see IMG acquiring Sports Recruits, Stack Sports acquiring Playmetrics, and PlayOn acquiring Max Preps. Those are just a small spattering of acquisitions that have taken place. The list is so long and impressive, and you see the deal volume that's up and the significant percentages of 47.7%, 68% overall. I mean, it's just the momentum is breathtaking, and it doesn't stop there. As we look at technology, that's probably the leading category of all aspects of the investment coming into the space. You've seen through Q2 this year, $52 billion raised across over 500 deals. So it's really astonishing to see what's happening in the tech space. And then certainly, mixed-use development just developed through the first half of this year alone, over $1 billion in development. And it feels like every week there's a new announcement on new development across the country in some capacity supporting youth sports.
And this number, selfishly from SFIA's standpoint, we work every day to create an environment where the industry can grow. Growth from a business environment standpoint, from a participation standpoint, from a sports standpoint, and the amount of startups that we get to engage with. So we put over here 670 plus. I mean, I think that doesn't even begin to tell the whole story of how much interest continues to come into our industry, how much new technology, how much new innovation. Just to give you a bit of an example from SFIA, we've been running a startup annual competition for the last 10 years. In 2025, we saw the highest number of inputs and applications for that program. That program only continues to grow. And it funnels then into what we were talking about in terms of acquisition and consolidation opportunities. So as we think about growth of the industry, you have to have it on both sides. You have to have successful companies continue to grow and push the experience, but you also have to have new brands and new technology and new innovation coming into the industry as well too, and it's great to see that as well. It's
incredible. So wrapping things up for y'all as we really think about this, the path we're on, and we believe it is we're on the precipice of this youth sports transformation. We look at the tailwinds that Todd mentioned. We look at the investment and the growth and momentum across all different sectors of the industry, and it's exciting to see it. But one thing we didn't talk about
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't-
which I feel like you can't go an hour in your day without someone saying AI. So I don't. We might have accomplished that feat here in the first 15 minutes or so of the conference. But I think just a couple of closing thoughts from SFIA standpoint and Mark from your standpoint of just what we're going to be looking at. Obviously, AI has already made its way into the industry from a positive standpoint, but what the future holds for it, I think that's for all of us as leaders to continue to figure out, continue to integrate into our businesses. I can tell you from my standpoint, I'll be really curious. We have great participation numbers, but we still have a lot of youth that aren't participating, and the data through AI should start to tell us stories about why, or if we made some tweaks around whether it's games, tournaments, whether it's rules, whether it's the overall experience. But I think, what I'll be looking for from AI is how can we start to get some of those questions answered, where then we can translate that into opening more doors for youth participants. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, for me, I think it's all AI is about transformation for the entire industry. I think it's going to help us holistically look at data differently, make better decisions faster, provide more enhanced guest experience across the board for the athletes, the family members, the coaches, and the scouts. I think it'll help us figure out ways to reduce costs as well as create more access through mobile devices and through technology and so much more. So that alone, I would anticipate that's going to be a sole subject on next year's National Youth Sports Summit stage. But really, I think what we've summarized here for all of you, we've got incredible tailwinds supported by a lot of great data. We've got a lot of investment coming into the space. Harnessing that investment to really drive growth and that momentum to drive more kids playing more sports, more access, and driving costs down is ultimately where I think not only AI can help, but where the industry is headed with the likes of the leagues, the brands, and thought leaders like yourself. Todd, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Mark. Good stuff.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time on this. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to actually introduce back to the stage Maria. Maria, you're going to come back up and take us on the next segment and the journey going forward. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great time today. Thanks for your time and attention, and look forward to talking to all of you later. Thank you.
How great was that? Amazing conversation. Mark is the best, and Todd, thank you so much as well for giving us all of the insights in the headwinds and what's happening in the youth sports industry. There was a lot, so I hope you guys were taking some notes. We're gonna have a lot of special conversations this morning, this afternoon. I don't know what time it is. I'm sure you guys are in the same boat as me. First up, I wanna welcome someone to the stage who is in a very unique position right now, and you're gonna learn a lot about, you've heard Versant Media a couple of times already this afternoon. You're going to learn a lot when it comes to Versant Media. Please welcome to the stage the president of Versant Media, Matt Hong. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Matt, I'm excited about this conversation, as I know you are as well, because there are a lot of people in this audience who see prioritizing the fans, streaming access and content, and they think, this is all I'm doing right now, is I am digesting as much content as humanly possible, and you're in such a fun position right now because Versant is born. It's here. What is Versant? Tell us what it is.
Well, thank you, Maria. So even though Versant is New York-based, Will and myself are up in New York. Atlanta's my hometown, so it's fun to be back in Atlanta. We've got a Walton High School connection.
We do.
I've probably spent over 100 hours in this building watching my son commit turnovers on these courts. But what is Versant? So as Will McIntosh noted, Comcast is the traditional longtime parent company of NBCU, NBC Universal, and is dividing NBC Universal into two. And so a series of cable television networks and digital businesses that Will and Nick oversee are being spun off into a separate publicly held company. So in about 2 months, Versant will be a separate publicly traded company on NASDAQ. And it's 7 cable television networks and the digital businesses of scale that Will and Nick oversee. So TV networks-wise, it's Golf Channel, USA Network, CNBC, MSNBC, E, Sci-Fi, and Oxygen. Hopefully everyone has watched those networks a few times in the past month. And then 3 really large digital businesses, Golf Now, Sports Engine, and Fandango. So that collection of brands and properties will comprise Versant. Versant will be the corporate name, but will probably not be used all that often outside of Wall Street. So think of it as Alphabet to Google or Meta to Facebook. We'll really be known by our brands, whether it's Golf Now or Sports Engine or USA Network or Golf Channel. So that's Versant. And then from a sports perspective, we'll televise leagues and properties such as NASCAR, the PGA Tour, WWE, Premier League, WNBA, college basketball on USA Network, Golf Channel, and CNBC.
There's a lot of things that you just said that resonate with the people in this audience. They all know everything that you're talking about. So Versant is incredible in getting off the ground, and what you guys have in front of you is a lot of opportunity. How do you balance the excitement of a new media company that you're talking about alongside the challenges that come with a company of this magnitude?
Yeah, we really are in a unique position because we're in some ways a startup. We're in a unique position because in some ways we're a startup. So we have new email addresses, we have new benefits plans, we have new enterprise software that we're picking for the company. And then at the same time, we're bringing over very established businesses. The company in aggregate will have over $7 billion in revenue annually, over $2 billion in free cash flow. And all of the users who are currently using Golf Now, all of the viewers who are currently watching Premier League on USA Network. So it is a very unique position where some of the things that we're working on a daily basis are startup-like. We just moved into a brand new office facility for the sports division in Connecticut. We're 2 weeks into that. So some things are brand new and we're starting from scratch, and then other things are very established. And so it's really, I think, for the most part, for most of us who are involved in it, a very fun time as we do exactly what you note, try to balance what's old with what's new.
And one thing about the status of media right now, as we said, is it's changing. It's ever changing. When you're stepping into a role, it's transformative, this movement that we're talking about for sports media. What is the core mission of Versant Media, and how do you define prioritizing the fan in today's modern media landscape that we're talking about that's changing so much?
Yeah, that's the exact description that we have for ourselves at Versant, which is we're looking to be a modern media company. And a lot of that is transforming ourselves from being more singularly looked at as television networks to definitely having television networks, but having a series or a portfolio of adjacent businesses to those networks. And so golf is a perfect vertical to illustrate what we're looking to do more of in our future. So for golf, we've got 2 majors that are on USA Network, the US Open and the Open Championship. We've got 500 hours of PGA Tour coverage on Golf Channel, 400 plus hours of LPGA coverage on Golf Channel, and then we have these very robust adjacent digital businesses that Will McIntosh and team run in Golf Now and Golf Pass. And so if you look at just the golf vertical, we've got very robust media assets, but we've also got a ton of participation assets. And so we cover golf viewership and golf fandom for when folks are consuming golf on their couch. But we also have, leading, if not the leading, participation brands as it relates to golf as well. So that vertical, if you look at the golf vertical at Versant or within our sports and digital businesses, that vertical is already about 50% of the revenue coming from traditional media or television, and 50% of the revenue comes from other. And really how we'll look to transform the traditional media business at Versant to become a more modern media company is to really grow the other. So these adjacent to media businesses like a Golf Now or a Golf Pass that are really quite synergistic to those media properties. I think Golf Now benefits from promotion on Golf Channel, and then Golf Channel benefits from being adjacent to Golf Now. So it's this wonderfully synergistic business that we have in golf that we're looking to do across more and more verticals at Versant.
You said a couple of times in there the word brand, which is a lot of what we discuss when it comes to athletes. There's a lot of parents in the room that have athletes at home that are figuring out that your brand is your entire identity now. And it's becoming more of a focus of conversation. So now that athletes today are their own media brands, how is Versant partnering with athletes directly, and how important is giving them a platform in your content strategy?
Yes, brand is such an important thing, whether you're talking about a large media company like Versant, or whether you're talking about NIL in college, or now dipping down into high school. And I would say most professional sports are defined by the athletes who play those sports. So if you look at the NBA, it's very personality driven. You've got LeBron James, you've got Stephen Curry. Pretty much every professional sport benefits when there's brand equity that is created by the individual athletes. And so one of the things that we're doing at Versant is we're doing non-live or shoulder programming, as it's called in the industry, programming around individual athletes who we then televise their league sports. So perfect example is WWE, which is a bit of a crossover sport in that it's part sports, part entertainment. Actually perfect for a network like USA, which is a lot of sports, but a lot of entertainment programming. And so there's a brand new show that just launched on USA Network called Everything on the Menu by Braun Strowman, who is currently retired, but he may become active again, as is often the case in WWE. Yeah. It's a show that revolves around him and his travels and going to visit restaurants and just ordering everything on the menu. But it's a good example of when you build up the individual brands of athletes whose sports you then televise live. It's a wonderfully synergistic kind of, all boats rise combination of storytelling and trying to, create tune-in for the live sport. So whether it's WWE or we do similar things for PGA Tour or LPGA athletes, we'll do this a lot for WNBA when that package starts in 2026. We do it for Premier League, but that's an example of how athletes' brands and storytelling for those athletes or around those athletes kind of help drive live viewership for the sport itself.
And you're seeing more and more of that all over the place.
Absolutely.
And when you think about major competitors in modern media, there is a lot of them. You've mentioned a couple of times about how Versant will separate itself from the landscape of modern media, but how do you plan to step out as a company?
Yeah, it's obviously a super competitive space right now for sports media. Not only are all of the traditional media companies like ourselves bidding on sports rights and competing for, the eyeballs of fans, but you obviously have the newer entrants, and you probably can't even call them newer entrants anymore, in all of the streaming companies. And so they are obviously placing large bets for sports rights as well. One of the things that we've tried to do at Versant is to find sports where there's a lot of growth potential left in them. So obviously, we've got very established sports like NASCAR and PGA Tour. And then you've always got sports like like NBA or NFL, where there's growth left in them, but it's off a very large base already. So an area that we're leaning in is with women's sports properties. And it's not to classify all of women's sports properties together, but a lot of women's sports properties tend to have a lot of headroom left. And so we've already been a long-time rights holder for the LPGA, for Golf Channel, but two of our newer properties both happen to be women's sports properties. And yes, we like women's sports, but I think most importantly from a business perspective, both of them have a lot of room for growth still. So 2 new properties, both of which will launch in 2026, both of which we've announced recently. One is the WNBA. We'll have 48 regular season games for WNBA and USA Network. Double headers on Wednesday night, which will be a bit of a franchise to have 2 WNBA games on Wednesday nights on USA. We'll have playoff games. We'll have the WNBA finals on USA in 2026. And we also just announced League One Volleyball, or Love, for which we've got Rosie here today as well. And so we'll have also on Wednesday night League One Volleyball, or Love, games of the week on Wednesdays. And then we'll have playoffs and the championship game for Love on USA Network as well. Starting in 2026 from January to April, which will then hand off to our Wednesday night coverage of WNBA. So that's one of the ways in which we've tried to differentiate ourselves, is by looking for programming where there is an established base of fans, but where we feel like we can really partner with these leagues to continue to grow their fan base. And we'll do our part from a storytelling and from a broadcast perspective, but we're really, in some ways, just glad to be associated with these leagues who have already started down a pretty assertive growth trajectory.
I'm glad you brought up women's sports and seeing the investment in it, because here at the National Youth Sports Summit, over the last 4 years that I've done this, we've talked incrementally about how much it has grown. Clearly, Versant sees an investment in women's sports, and there is more room to grow. But what have you noticed about the rise in intrigue when it comes to women's sports in general?
Yeah, I mean, there's a amazing stat that I won't get quite right, but about participation in girls' sports, and then girls' sports graduating to college athletics, and how that translates into success in business in non-sports jobs. And so, it really is kind of a wonderful time for both participation relative to girls' sports, but also for professional women's sports, whether it's the ones we cover or ones that we don't currently cover, like the NWSL. Yeah, it's I think a really good time to be involved with whether it's girls' sports at the youth level or women's sports at the professional level. So we're super bullish on it.
Yes, you heard it here. It is a great time to be a part of women's sports. You talked about it a little bit. Live games are king right now in sports, but a lot of fans are craving the storytelling and the behind the scenes from these athletes. How does Versant plan to deliver more story-driven content like the WWE piece you mentioned on USA? How do you plan to do that to also deepen the fan connection that fans are craving for?
Yeah, that'll really be what we plan to do digitally. So, digital, it's like talking about streamers and calling them new entrants. I mean, digital is really the way that you command the attention of fans outside of just the live windows. So we may have 6-ish hours per week of WNBA programming on USA, but where we'll really partner with the league to grow the profile of the league, or continue to grow the profile of the league, or continue to grow and help to grow the persona of the WNBA athletes, are on our digital platforms. And so, that is really where I think the attention is commanded for purposes of growing these properties. And so that's how we'll lean in there.
You just mentioned it a little bit, but what are some of the unique things you do as a company to redefine fan content and consumption? Are you leaning more into the digital space?
For sure. And I think it really just goes back to, our plan is to combine our platforms for storytelling and content with participation. And so golf is a vertical where we've started to do that, but we'll do that across other sports verticals, and we'll really follow that model in our non-sports areas as well. So the content that is on CNBC, marrying that with digital products which focus on the retail investor, things like that. And so that's part of what we mean when we talk about being a modern media company. It's really just sort of diversifying what it means to do and to be in media.
And there is a lot to be done when it comes to saying that right now, right? It is ever changing, ever evolving, and you guys are at the forefront of that for sure. This may be a hard question for you to answer, but when you fast forward 3 years from now, what does success look like for Versant?
Yeah, I think if we can do more of what we've already been successful in doing in golf, where we have a very healthy base as it relates to being a traditional media company, or a healthy base of revenue that continues to come from our television networks, but we've diversified our revenue and our free cash flow such that a material portion of it is coming from those media adjacent businesses like Golf Now currently does. That's the goal, and that will define success for us.
And what do you want the everlasting impact of Versant to be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's like, what's the meaning of life? But I would say, if we have consumers of our products that we touch their lives on a daily basis, that would be a good goal.
Matt is the parent of kids that used to play sports, right?
Yep.
So he's one of all of you. And our Walton connection comes from my husband coaches football at Walton, so we just made that connection. I think it's amazing. What's one lasting piece of information that you have as a parent that have had kids that have played sports and you've watched the youth sports movement?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit cliche, but I would say I've worked in sports for a long time, and of the four of us in our nuclear family, I'm probably the third biggest sports fan, after our son and my wife, who's in multiple fantasy football leagues. But I think the impact of sports, whether it's playing or following, I think really, at least for our family, has been something that I think will continue to be a bond for us. And so, again, cliche, but just sort of the wonderful impact of participating in sports and following sports, in our family dynamic is something that's very unique.
Matt, thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. Thank you for all your insight, and we are so excited to see what Versant can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Round of applause for
Thank
Matt,
you.
please. Thank you so much. You were great. Thank you. Wasn't that incredible? I knew you guys would learn a lot. I didn't see a lot of people writing notes. Mental notes is a good thing. Matt is amazing, and what Versant is doing, you hear modern media. You're looking at someone right now who's been in media for a very long time, hopefully for much longer. I'm coming up on 12 years of my professional career, and the way in which we consume modern media is changing by the minute. This affects those of you in the room that have athletes at home. I know you do, because they are glued to their phones, right? And I think it's important to learn that there is so much opportunity there when it comes to the future of modern media. Matt is the perfect person to listen to about all of that. So I want to thank Matt. That was incredible. Our next conversation will be about the youth sports impact with scale, momentum, and so much more. Please welcome to the stage Bill Seeley from Varsity Sports and Rosie Spaulding, as you heard her name already, from Love Volleyball. Again. Hello. Hello, welcome to the stage. Hi, guys.
How are you?
Great, how are you?
Very good. Delighted to be here.
We are so excited to have you guys here. You guys are a ray of sunshine. You really are.
Oh, well, thank you.
Bill Seeley.
It's the reflection on this.
It might be, the lights are a little bright, I will say. Bill Seeley, the president of Varsity Spirit, and Rosie Spaulding, you are the president at League One Volleyball. I am so delighted to have you guys both here for this conversation that I think you will learn a lot from, but I will as well. I've had incredible conversations with you guys off stage before we've even started to discuss this movement that we are seeing. And let's start with the opening vision, the why here. You both oversee major forces in youth sports. We'll start with you, Rosie. What drives your organization at this moment, and how do you define your impact on the next generation of athletes?
Yeah, so at our heart, League One Volleyball, or Love as we call ourselves, is truly about opportunities, offering opportunities for growth, development, empowerment of women and girls. So it's really about creating better life outcomes for women and girls through the sport of volleyball. So that's our mission, really. And we do that quite uniquely through our Youth to Pro ecosystem that we've built intentionally over the last few years. And we now have, I think, 82 clubs, more than 80 clubs across the country. So about 25,000 8 to 18-year-old athletes. And then earlier this year, we wrapped our first season of the Pro League. So we're a few days away from our report date for season 2.
And how did the first year go?
Pretty fantastic. And we learned a ton, which is one of the greatest gifts that season 1 gave us, is to provide us feedback and information on how we can do things better for season 2. But it was fantastic. Thank you.
And as a lot of people in this room know, volleyball is growing by the second. As we sit here today, it is one of the fastest growing sports in the world right now, especially for women and girls. So delighted to have you here, Rosie. Thank you. Same question for you, Bill. Overseeing a lot in youth sports, you do a lot with cheer and dance specifically. How do you define your impact on the next generation of athletes?
I think, our mission is to elevate the student-athlete experience and create exceptional experiences for their family members. And, if you look back at the history of Varsity, 1974, the company started, cheerleaders were wearing saddle shoes, long, puffy sweaters, and it's really the athleticism and the entertainment component that Varsity brought to cheerleading. And so we've taken kind of a stewardship role in the activities that we participate in, and really try to, drive better engagement for the youth, create better opportunities for them, and we're constantly trying to innovate and create new things that keep young people excited about participating. So this year, we're following Love Volleyball's efforts in a pro league, and so we launched the first ever pro cheer league, which will be starting in January of 2026.
What kind of an impact can that have on those young ladies who are already a part of Varsity and are hoping to one day now have the opportunity to be professional cheerleaders?
I think, a lot of kids that grow up in cheer and dance, really the collegiate level is kind of the end of the road for most of them. And so being able to provide a pro track for the athletes to continue to pursue their passions, I think it's going to do a couple things. One, it gives more opportunities for it, and I think it helps to kind of create a halo effect around the activity and really aspirational things for kids to really look up to and want to be. I remember growing up being a baseball player, I was convinced I was going to be a professional baseball player, play for the New York Yankees. Turned out to be a professional cheerleader, but the opportunities that these kids will now have, I think, will help grow the activity, not just domestically, but cheerleading's growing globally around the world, and we hope that it has that same halo effect in the international world as well.
It's really cool to see the change in both volleyball and cheer and dance. Even in the last 5 years, we've seen an explosion in these sports, and it's only going to continue to rise. It's a very cool transition that we're watching and that we need to pay attention to. And we're seeing a shift in youth sports. It's not just about participation anymore. They're evolving into, as we're discussing, full career pathways for these young ladies and young men. How are each of you building bridges from youth competition to professional opportunity? Bill, you touched on that a bit. Rosie, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think one thing at Love, yes, we're providing a pathway from youth to pro, and you can't be what you can't see, and that's very important to be able to play at the highest level in this country. And what's also important is that we're here for all athletes. I think I think through pro we provide visibility for the sport, inspiration for the sport, opportunities on and off the court for the sport, no matter what level you're at. And I think that's an important part of our philosophy too. So yes, if you want to play pro and you want to play at the highest level, you can do that now. And also, if you're a young athlete that is looking for to play and for belonging, that sort of sense of community and belonging that you get through sports, that's also here for you through Love. So,
because you're in your infancy and you just wrapped up your first year of Love, what was the reason behind launching a professional volleyball network?
So we started in 2020.
Yeah.
And we saw this incredible opportunity, which we saw then, for the growth of the sport. I think it's 48 million people that have played or play or are fans of the sport. So it's a huge base here. Obviously, collegiate records being broken over and over again, both from viewership and attendance. And yet there wasn't at that time the opportunity for women to play professionally in this country. So it was both that and then doing so in a unique way where we started with the youth side of the business. So we spent 4 years intentionally building up the youth side, and then we leveraged the spotlight that is currently once every 4 years on the sport of volleyball at the highest level. In Paris, we had 10 of the 12 athletes on the team play for love to launch our first season.
There's a real future in the sport for young ladies too, and that's the message that you're driving home.
Absolutely, that you can play at the highest level in this country.
Bill, you talked about the fact that cheer is global now. It's not just national, and you're seeing it all over the world, which is incredible. When you talk about the global and collegiate impact that cheer has, what are you noticing when it comes to those two things?
Well, you know, you look back maybe 20, 30 years ago, there was maybe 20 total countries participating in cheer. It's uniquely an American activity, but over those years with the television exposure on ESPN and the collegiate championships that we hold annually, you know, it's really just blown up globally. We're now recognized by the IOC, the International Cheer Union, which we helped launch as the international governing body. And there's a real conversation around the Olympics now. And so I think with all of that excitement, it just continues to build and grow. Globally, you know, China, they have 300,000 high schools. About 5 years ago, they put cheerleading inside all of those high schools. So China is going to be a world power coming up in cheer, I would imagine pretty soon. Right now, the U.S. still has kind of a dominant hold on that. But we're seeing the level globally really just kind of escalate in terms of the number of athletes, which I think goes back to the Pro League. And now you're going to start seeing, you know, kids from other countries coming in and being professional athletes in the cheer space.
What's really cool is you mentioned the word Olympics. Because I am a part of an NBC property, Olympics is my middle name. It's all we talk about all of the time. But when you talk to younger athletes and they are a part of volleyball and cheer, hopefully the Olympics at some point, you think the Olympics, that's the pinnacle. But now there's other opportunities outside of that, which I think is really important. We're talking about scale and a global scale for both of these sports. How do you continue to scale upwards globally, however far you want to take it, while also keeping the same authenticity that you want? For Love and Varsity, you can go next.
Yeah, I think it's about staying true to your mission and your vision. Our mission being to create better life outcomes for women and girls through sport volleyball. Our vision being to make volleyball a major league sport in the next 5 years. And then what that really boils down to is the athlete experience and focusing, like I think any modern league, like focusing on the athlete, what they need and want. And yes, we can't provide everything that they want and need from year one, but listening to them, growing the sport around them, growing the commercial property around them, growing the media property, the storytelling, all of the things that go with the Pro League around them. And I think when you stay true to those things, that's how you can grow authentically.
And Rosie, because you just had the first year of the Pro League, what's been the response? Because I'm sure there's a lot of excitement around this right now.
There's a ton of excitement. I mean, the level of play was phenomenal, and just what we had planned and hoped for, and also the parity across the teams. As a startup in our first year, we had 6 teams, and I think the amount of matches that went to 4 or 5 sets was about 78%, which was pretty extraordinary. And the amount of reverse sweeps kept everyone on their toes throughout the season and right up until the semi-finals, actually. So, some great feedback. And then through our partners, you just heard from Varsity, but to be able to now come back in season 2, have a game of the week, and to be on USA every week, to have Versant alongside of ESPN, our other partner, and just to be seeing the growth and the commercial growth with our partners. We announced Skims earlier this year. We have a multi-year partnership with Adidas already. It all comes down to the core of the athlete experience and the focus of the success on the court, and then building the property around that. But we're really thrilled with the progress to date, and very much excited about coming back and building on that for season 2.
Bigger and better. It's going to continue to get that way for sure. Bill, same for you, the original question about the scale and how you kind of marry authenticity and stay true to that.
Yeah, I think, scale is important, and we're going to be thinking about those things and are thinking about them. But, staying true to the authenticity, I think, is primary, and driving engagement, not just with your existing ecosystem. I think, we have an incredible cheerleading ecosystem, huge fans that are in the sport. It's really about staying true to them, making sure that you're building a product that they want to participate in when they grow up, but then also building it in a way that the general population also can embrace it. And so we're going to be doing some interesting things. We'll be announcing a media partnership tomorrow. And
we're a day early.
We're a day early, and they would shoot me if I said it here. So I'm going to have to hold on that. But you know, I think you know, the live events, both for the folks who come to the live event and driving real strong fan engagement there, that it's a can't miss ticket, while at the same time getting the eyeballs from a media standpoint. And then building shoulder content. We're going to be doing a little docu-series along the way that really kind of helps to kind of feed the pop culture ecosystem and drawing more fans in, because we want to, again, grow the sport. And so getting parents to see that this is really a great activity for their kids to participate in. They then go to their local gyms or the local schools where they get on the teams. And I think you know, the more young people that can get involved, the better.
And when you and I were talking on the side, you mentioned content, and you started to notice the change and the need for content for cheer and for dance. You're seeing this explosion of interest everywhere. What have you noticed with that?
Yeah, it really, you know, we've seen it in dance. You've seen the cheer on Netflix, the Dallas Cowboys recent one. You've Stumble coming out on NBC, I think is probably going to be very popular. So there's a big appetite there. Where I've also seen is on a dance side. You know, we held our college championship last year. We were streaming the dance teams there, and it literally broke the internet. Our Varsity TV went down, subscriptions went through the roof. We had to, you know, do some fixing overnight to get the final day the next day. But there's such popularity. I mean, you watch these athletes perform, especially in dance. There's this just really cool connection between art and athleticism, and it's just beautiful to watch. As you know, you have 20 plus athletes out there moving perfectly synchronized together, and some of the stuff that these young people do is like, it's really amazing, and I think it draws that audience in.
I'm sure there's a lot of parents in the room that either have a dancer in the home or know of a dancer, so this is very promising for the future of that sport as well. We're talking about growth, and with growth in anything comes challenges, right? But particularly with athletics, cost, access, burnout, NIL, which is something we've discussed today, media rights as well. What are some of the biggest obstacles? Rosie, I'm sure you could go through a list just because you just had 1 year. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you're tackling head on right now, and what is the biggest challenge ahead for youth sports?
The one that comes to top of mind for me personally is actually on the pro side, because we very intentionally launched single entity, so league owned and operated. We believe that's the most sustainable way to start, and always also knew that we would be adding mission-aligned ownership groups at the right time when we found those groups in the right cities. And actually that's accelerated. So when we started this, we thought that would probably be in years 3 to 5. And as you might have seen, we've already got 2 ownership groups that have joined. We just announced our first expansion city in LA last week. So I think one of the challenges that's top of mind for me right now is just making sure those ownership groups are set up for success. And in some ways, this will be a transition year for us as we introduce those groups and working with them and ensuring that they have what they need. And you know, the sort of highs and lows and ups and downs of any new partnership like that. But I'm excited, very excited with the ownership groups that we brought on board, and excited for all that's to come.
This may be hard for you to answer or to measure, but when you're talking about the growth of where the Pro League is going, how does it feel in terms of scale? You feel like you're growing probably exponentially really rapidly, considering there's only been 1 year, right?
We are, and we'll be expanding in season 3, but that's all happening in parallel. So our athletes report on Saturday, so very much focused on season 2, as well as the expansion teams that we've started to announce for season 3, of which LA was the first one, but we expect to add between 2 and 4 teams in season 3. So
it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Bill, same question for you. There's a lot of challenges, obviously, that come with growth. What are you noticing the biggest ones are for you specifically right now, and what are some of those that you're tackling head on?
Yeah, I think, the most important thing around, burnout for us is just to make sure that we continue to innovate and create new opportunities or new ways to do that. So, we've like I talked about earlier, bringing the partner stunts, the pyramids, the basket tosses, the excitement, and entertainment components to cheer, and then, helping to facilitate, collegiate sport and stunt back in 2008, which is now going to be one of the fastest growing female sports at the collegiate level. It's going to be voted on by the NCAA this year for championship status. I believe that will be the fastest sport that's gone from emerging sports status to championship status in NCAA history. And then the Pro League this year, which is going to be different than anything you've ever seen. It's going to have the team routine in it, but it's 4 quarters and there's all kinds of different things, keeping it fresh and exciting for the kids that are in cheer. So I think it'll create some new opportunities inside gyms to do different things that attract more kids in, and it'll be more exciting to watch and to participate in. So I think keeping things fresh, innovating, building excitement around the sport is everything.
If you have young ladies in the house, if you're listening to this, these are 2 of the fastest growing sports on the planet right now, so this is really good information. Last question for you, because unfortunately we're running out of time here. If we bring both of you guys back in 5 years, a lot will have changed. What do you think will have changed, and what does success look like from both of your perspectives? Rosie, go ahead.
I think from my perspective, I mentioned it already, our vision really is to make volleyball a major league sport and to grow the sport in this country, to elevate the sport in this country. And I think 5 years from now, we should be well on our way to doing that. Importantly, we have the FIVB World Championships in 2027. We have LA 28, so maximizing opportunities through both of those things, and then continuing to work on breaking through culturally and really elevating the sport in that way, so that our athletes are out there and they're visible at the SBs and they're visible at these cultural events.
You're well on your way to that right now. And remember what Nebraska volleyball did. That broke the internet as well. There were more people inside of a volleyball match at Nebraska than I have ever seen. It was truly incredible. So we're well on our way to scaling volleyball at a level we've never seen before. Rosie, thank you so much. Bill, from you too.
Yeah, I think 5 years from now, Pro Cheer League will be launched and well on its way. I think you're going to see international teams coming on board. That's one of our ambitions, is to grow the league, not just domestically, but around the world. I hope we're in the conversation that Love's been able to have with the Olympics, volleyball's been able to have at the Olympics. We hope in 32 that's an option. So in 5 years, that conversation should be set and aligned. So I think, we're going to continue to see the sport grow around the world rapidly, and we're going to be there walking alongside and trying to do everything we can on our side to make sure that we're providing the best experiences for the young people participating.
Incredible. Thank you guys both so much. Volleyball and cheer, bright futures ahead for each of these sports. Thank you guys so much, and give them a round of applause. Thank you. You were amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to see you. Wonderful stuff, right? Give them another round of applause. So up next, I want to welcome Mark O'Brien back on stage. This is going to be such a fun surprise for everyone. I'm very, very thrilled for what's happening next, and I know Mark is as well. This is an award that has grown over the last couple of years, and it's such a special part of what we do here at the National Youth Sports Summit.
Yeah, thank you. I think first and foremost, what this award represents for the industry is in the process that we embark on to identify individuals or organizations that really have an impact, which is why we name it the Impact Award, but truly a significant impact on the industry. And having the likes of Roberto Clemente Jr. And his contributions globally in the world on youth sports, Jenny Finch, U.S. Olympic champion, just a college champion, just a tremendous contributor to youth sports in the space of softball, and what she's done is incredible, and we honored her here last year. But this year, is equally, if not a little bit more special, with no disrespect to our prior recipients, because of who's going to be receiving it this year.
This is the LakePoint Impact Sports Award presented by Coca-Cola. And this award, as you said, means so much, but especially, we've already teased it up enough, right? This is,
so I mean,
this was last year. This was
this
a
is
couple
Roberto
years ago.
Clemente Jr., this is Jenny Finch from last year, and of course, we have our partners from Coca-Cola United, and I think Ben's here today, so if Ben's able to join us on stage, where's Ben at? Is he coming up? He'll be joining us here momentarily.
Yes.
And so,
Here he comes.
Oh, here comes Ben. So a round of applause for Ben and our partners at Coca-Cola. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you. Yeah. So one of the things that we talked about with this award is in finding the right presenting partner is an organization that really gets behind youth sports, but also wants to honor those that are really having an impact on the industry. And Ben, who we've been working with for
10 years.
10 years now? Mm-hmm. So has it been 10 years?
It's been.
Oh my gosh. So, and Ben is not only a friend of LakePoint, but he's a friend of all of us here. He really, he bleeds the Coca-Cola red, but I think he bleeds LakePoint blue as well, and just does a tremendous job supporting our campus. But this award, maybe share a little bit about why your organization wanted to get behind this award and the recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. At Coke United, our core values are quality, excellence, integrity, and respect. So really it was a perfect fit for us to partner with you and do this on a yearly basis. It's really a no-brainer decision for us.
Well, and we're grateful. They sponsor. You might see the U.S. flags on our stage here today, but the tremendous U.S. flag over the baseball village, over our campus, and that's also presented by Coca-Cola Bottling Company United. So we're incredibly grateful for the relationship, not only for the partnership we have here, but for the Impact Award itself. And so maybe without further ado, should we cue the video and show this year's Impact Award recipient?
Well, I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I really want to thank LakePoint Sports and Mark O'Brien for this recognition. Recognition is really not about me. It's about the work that we're committed to do and all of our businesses and our foundation in terms of supporting youth sports and youth activities at the highest level. And there's no organization and no cluster, no environment that does it better than what you've developed in our state. Accepting our award tonight will be Rich McKay, and Rich is, he's not going to admit this, but he's kind of the father of girls flag football really in this country in many ways. And that's a good example. We started in this state, moved it over to Alabama. It's now close to 30 states. We have the Olympics coming up in 2028. Flag football, girls and boys flag football will both be events during the Olympics and after the Olympics. The NFL is committed to it as well, as Rich probably will touch on during his comments. But sports, I just want to say generally, for young people, I'm talking about my own childhood, and for young people today, is probably more important than it's ever been before, because young people today are distracted with a whole variety of things, social media, pressures in a variety of forms that are coming at them and affecting their childhood and affecting their ability to be outside, to play with others. So I want to, re-emphasize the importance of what your organization does in terms of taking kids, young boys and girls, and getting them outside and playing in sports and being committed to playing singly and with each other. It's something we desperately need today in our country and in the world. And there's no activity that, in my view, does it better than bringing kids together to play sport. They understand respect, they understand discipline, they understand collaboration, partnership, working with each other, understanding differences and respecting those differences. And being outside and playing in an environment where you're breathing air, you're away from your social media distractions, all of that is exactly the prescription that our young people need today. So LakePoint Sports has done an unbelievable job over many years. The award is only 5 years old, but their work is well longer than that. I just want to thank you and salute you, not me, but salute you for your efforts in that regard. Thank you, and continue the great work. Thank you.
Round of applause. It's so perfect of Arthur to thank everyone else but himself for this award. That's exactly how he is. It has been my privilege and honor to get to know Mr. Arthur Blank, and what a tremendous honor here today, accepting the 2025 LakePoint Sports Impact Award presented by Coca-Cola United on behalf of Mr. Arthur Blank is Rich McKay, CEO of AMBSC and Atlanta Falcons.
There you go. Rich, I know you're gonna say a few words and then join Maria here. But before we actually do that,
yes,
I wanted to surprise you with a little something. So if you could just kind of move over here, I think you'll have a good vantage point. And I think if we could drop the banner, Mr. Arthur Blank.
That's really cool.
So Arthur will remain in the rafters out at the baseball village. We'll continue to honor him at LakePoint, just a tremendous work. I had the privilege to speak with Rich a month or so ago about this opportunity to honor Mr. Blank, and I was blown away by what Rich shared with me on all the unknowns. It's exactly what Maria said. Just he operates in such humility, grace, and he's incredibly generous. I was aware of a lot of the things he does, but Rich enlightened me, and it's more than fitting that he's the recipient, and we're so grateful and honored to have you here accepting it on his behalf.
Happy to be here. Thank you for honoring the chief. He is the man for sure, and we'll talk about what he's done in the youth space, but he is a youth sports enthusiast, to say the least.
Awesome. We're going to do a quick picture.
Okay. Oh, let me.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I think we take a quick picture. Sit down. I think it's in the back. Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Rich will hang back and sit with me. You'll sit over here.
Rich, thank you.
This is for you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Round of applause for Rich McKay and Mr. Arthur Blank, please. Arthur is one of the most generous people I've ever met in my life and will meet in my life. And I know that you could say the same thing, Rich. You have been with Arthur for so long. If we were going to put a number on how he's given back, it'd be a very large number. But similar to what Mark is talking about, try to enlighten the room on everything that Arthur has done within the last few years.
Yeah, so if you look up the definition of philanthropist, there'd be a bunch of pictures, there'd be a bunch of people, and Arthur would probably be one of them. Yeah. He's given away about $1.5 billion in his foundation's existence. Probably 90% of that has gone in the state of Georgia. He's always wanted to give back to where he made his fortune. In the youth sports area, which I like, I love seeing people that are in the youth sports space. The cool thing that he has done is not just flag football and not just soccer and not just golf, and it's all areas. And I think he's given First Tee's two biggest gifts they've ever gotten in the history of First Tee, which is a long-running organization in golf. I think he's given both of those gifts. In soccer, he's done the 100 soccer pitches across the state of Georgia. We've built, I think, 44 of those now out of 100. But, I mean, those are just things that he does that doesn't look for the big press conference over, but does look to make that impact, and hence the award.
What do you think Arthur Blank's impact is, not just on this community, but on youth sports as a whole?
I think it's the opportunity. I think he's in the business of trying to give kids the opportunity to participate. It's not a requirement. It's not for everybody, but it is for anybody that wants it to be for them. And especially in those neighborhoods that don't have all the opportunities that others do. We'll go into those neighborhoods. We'll give grants. We'll do that. But he's also teaching. He's a teacher at all times. So we have these community foundations, community funds for the Falcons, for United, for MBS, for Mountain Sky or Mountain West, which is his stuff out in Montana. And in that, we have like 10 or 12 associates on each foundation. He gives them a couple $1 million a year, and they go out and make grants into those communities. And what he's trying to teach there is yeah, the grants are very important. The money, the impact is important. But to him, it's as impactful that he teaches the people that work for us, hey, this is what it's like to give money. This is what it's like to give back. And this is the impact you can make. And those are cool. For our associates, that's about as impactful as it gets.
You're talking about the incredible efforts of AMBSC, Arthur Blank, when it comes to youth sports and the fact that it's reached all over the country. You just touched what he's done out west as well. But what are some of the most recent developments in regard to AMBSC and youth sports, and what does the future hold? Yeah, so we'll go to flag football just to show you how he can make an impact. In flag football, we had an idea, Chris Millman and Amanda Dinkle and our what was then CR. I think we've changed the name. Everybody seems to be changing the names. But they, came with the idea of, hey, should we try girls flag football? We went into Gwinnett County, 19 schools, 230 girls played that year. This year there's over 300 schools. There's 9,600 girls playing flag football in the state of Georgia. And that is, going back to him and saying to him, hey, we're going to have to make grants that go to these schools that are in many, many areas that cannot afford to start the program. So we made those grants, and I think this year alone, that total was over $2 million. The purpose of that was not that, girls that are playing in the 9th grade or 10th grade are going to play on Sunday necessarily, but that they get a chance to play a team sport, the ultimate team sport, football. So those are just the types of things that he likes to do, and that he is constantly challenging us to come up with ways to do more. You've also had your hand in flag football a lot in conjunction with Arthur. How have you seen it grow within the last few years? I'm all in for flag football because I'm all in for people being able to play football and access football, and tackle football is not for everybody, which we get. So for me, I had a father that was a football coach, and he told us, hey, no tackle football for you until you get to 9th grade. So we were flag football players. So I'm all in for that. I think what it does, it gives people, especially in the girls' world, it gives them another team sport that they can have access to, that they can learn all the concepts of teamwork. Beyond the skills of throwing, catching, blocking, it's the teamwork and the idea that it's all for one for all. I think that's fantastic. And for those in the room that aren't familiar, these young ladies have an opportunity to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium sometimes. Yes, they do. They play state championships there. We've now gone into the college space. You've got college. I think you'll get it at the, well, I think we'll call it the NCAA. I'm not sure it's the NCAA forever, but let's just call it the NCAA. I think you'll get there with that. You've certainly gotten there at the middle college level. So we love having them in the stadium. Love the fact the finals are there. But we like just the fact that last year you had the State House in the state of Georgia pass a resolution that said every school in the state should be required to have girls flag football. That's a cool resolution. It's really incredible. There is a catchphrase that Arthur uses in your building that you told me about. No finish line. No finish line. There is. It's right behind me right now, because that's kind of how he operates. There's no finish line. Tell me a little bit more about that. So that's just kind of him. He is not, he's not one, we don't spend a lot of time celebrating about, oh, we did this or we did that. This Sunday, we wouldn't have celebrated, but we did this, we did that. It's more about what are we going to do next, and that's kind of how he operates. He has operated that way ever since he was a kid. But that picture, that phrase sits right behind his desk in various offices, and he certainly uses it with us, because anytime we do anything, the question is, what are we going to do next? That's a good way to look at it. I mean, I think he looks at it and says, when we got the FIFA World Cup, that's about as big a thing that can, it's a generational opportunity for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. And he literally came into the meeting within 2 weeks and said, when are we going to get our next Super Bowl in Atlanta? And we were like, hey, boss,
We literally just got the FIFA World Cup. And so we have the Super Bowl in 28. And we will have, then we got the Final Four in 31 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I think we'll have a chance to get into the Women's World Cup in 31. So he's just that person that's constantly driving us to try to do better. And it's really not for us. It is for the community. It's why he wants to have those events. And he is always pushing.
And I know you don't want to give it away, so please don't. But there is something very big coming from Arthur, right? In conjunction with the Super Bowl.
You can say that. I can't. I would say the Super Bowl always has, the league always, NFL, host committee, team always has, some big impactful grants. I think this year will be one for sure. And you probably won't see it for a year, but you will. But that event drives big opportunities, and he usually is one that leans into a big opportunity.
One thing, because we're having a conversation about Arthur, because you know him on such a personal level and you've been with him for so long, Arthur's level of care cannot be understated. How would you describe just the way in which he cares about everything he does?
Yeah, so I think the best, Arthur's given a ton of money away, a ton of grants. It made a bunch of impact. But if you just go to the hospital, the Arthur M. Blank Children's Hospital, I think you'll see, that was a $200 million grant. It's a facility that is second to none in the United States of America for children's health care. They came to him, they made the pitch, and I was asked before they made the pitch by some people that I knew were going to make the pitch, hey, what do you think? I said, I don't know. I think it took him 5 minutes, and I think his question to them later on in the process, which they weren't happy about, was, I really thought you were going to ask me for more money. So that's just kind of who he is.
I think that that's important to mention because that is exactly what the Impact Award is all about. And you don't really get those personal glimpses of Arthur if you're not around him very much. So I appreciate you sharing some of those. And Rich, you mentioned the World Cup. It's the biggest event in the world. It's coming here. We're about 8 months away now. Take us into what it looks like in the planning phases, because I know you're giggling because it's where do we stop planning?
So the World Cup, I look at it this way. Atlanta hosted the Olympics in 1996. It was a generational event. It transformed Atlanta. It transformed Georgia. It's an event. It was a cool opportunity, and Atlanta took full advantage of it. We're now getting ready for a generational opportunity because it's not an event, it's not in the past, it's still ahead of us. To think about the scope of the World Cup, just realize that on December 5th is the draw, and when they conduct the draw for the World Cup, 1 billion people will watch the draw, just like names. That's a crazy, impactful event. In our semifinal match, they tell us there'll be about 2.5 billion people that watch that match. So it'll be an opportunity for us as a city, as a region, as a state, to make an impact and to be seen. And hopefully that has all of the future benefits that the Olympics definitely gave to our city and our state. It continues to be something that people identify with when they talk about Atlanta. We need to do that same thing when it comes to the World Cup. From a planning perspective, it literally is one of those few events. You have the federal government, you have the state government, you have the local government, you have the Georgia World Congress Center, you have us, you have everybody, and every single day there is some type of planning that goes into this because you have so many people that will come from all different countries of the world. They will come to Atlanta, they'll stay here. This is a 40-day event, 8 different matches. The challenge is real. I was asked the other day by the AJC editorial board, is Atlanta ready? And I said, no. And I said, but that's not the headline. Yeah. We will be ready. There's just a lot to be done, and there's a lot of entities that have to do it. But it's a cool moment. As I say, it's a generational opportunity.
We're very excited for the World Cup to get here in 8 months. And similar to Arthur, I'm going to have the mindset where, yes, the World Cup is great, but we also get the Super Bowl. So last question for you, when the Super Bowl returns to Atlanta, what kind of an impact does that have on this city?
Well, economic impact, great. I mean, listen, there's plenty of sales tax money. There's plenty of hotel, motel tax money. There's revenue and impact, economic impact, always a big number, whether it's 400, 500, it's a huge number. But it, again, is an opportunity for Atlanta to be in the center stage for about 10 days in a row in the entire United States and now internationally. And that is an opportunity for us to convince businesses to move here, people to move here. You know, all of that is just a stage for us that we need to take advantage of.
Thank you so much for accepting
Happy
this
to do it.
award
Happy to
on
do it
behalf
on
of
behalf of
Mr.
our
Blank. And thank you, Rich, for everything you both do for youth sports. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Marie.
Round of applause for Rich McKay. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Here, yes, take that.
You wanted to keep it.
I won't keep it. I know where to find you. I'll give it back. Arthur truly is one of the most generous people I've ever met. And, you know, the facts and figures, you see the numbers and you think, wow, like he gives a lot of money away. But just from a personal note, he truly is that generous. It is very true. And what a tremendous honor for LakePoint to present the Impact Award and this incredible banner for Mr. Blank today. And thank you, Rich, for that conversation. Next up, we have a very fun conversation that I think you're going to love. And a lot of you in the room who not only have kids in your house that play youth sports that one day will want to remember all of that stuff, you guys are in the same boat as well if you played a sport when you were younger. You'll know what I mean when we're talking about the legacy of youth sports, lifelong memories, and collectibles. Please welcome Natalie Sutton, Darren Rovell, and Steve Ziff. Welcome, Darren. Hi. Thank you. Good. How are you? Hi. Great. Welcome. Take a seat. This is the fun group.
Little pressure.
A lot of pressure. What do you mean? Well, I don't know. They all said you were fun, so just gonna throw that out there.
Just a bit.
So we have right to my left, your right, Natalie Sutton with the Harlem Globetrotters. Thank you for being here. Darren Rovell from Collect Media, and Steve Ziff from Collect as well. This is such a cool conversation that we're about to have that I know all of you are very passionate about. You all work in the intersection of nostalgia and fandom. What is it about youth sports that creates such lifelong emotional attachment to teams, moments, and memorabilia? Natalie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think any sport that youth are coming into, that's their entry point to that sport. So the experience that they have with that sport is likely going to carry them, you know, through their adult life. And so that can define whether they want to get into baseball, basketball, soccer, football. And then that can really shape how their future kind of evolves, which I think is super exciting. But that comes with responsibility as well when you're working with sports that is an entry point for young people.
For me, it's remembering all the names and the things that I did when I was 10 or 11. I knew when I was 10 that I was not going to be a professional player of any sort, which is why I became a journalist. And I knew I was going to become a journalist before anyone else, so that gave me a little advantage. But, you know, just remembering, you know, me bowling over Joey Chappell to win the championship in, you know, 1988, and the few pictures that you have. I have 708 million pictures of my kids, but I have 11 pictures of my entire youth sports history. So it is. These things don't leave your head. They do not clear the cache of your head. The names, the teams, what your uniform looked like, and so, you know, when you think about all the things that inspire us and that we enjoy, that we can go to the back of our head when there was COVID and it was lonely and whatever, like, youth sports is definitely up there. When you see someone who you haven't seen in 30 years, like I was on vacation in, I don't even know where it was, Costa Rica, and I'm like, oh my God, is that Gurinder Wadhwa? I haven't seen him in 30 years. So it's exciting.
And it's how kids learn about the game. I mean, it's one of the 3 ways now that kids become fans of sports, right? They either learn it from social media, they learn it from video games, or they learn it from collecting. And so this is a big attribute of where youth sports intersects with this entire world of collectibles, predominantly in trading cards. And we're all just very fortunate that we're sitting at the precipice of a massive movement where this is going to be a big connection to the future of youth and the way that they interact, both through the game itself and then also through this entire movement of memorabilia.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation around collectibles and memorabilia has exploded within the last couple of years. It's why you guys are sitting here and talking about it, and a lot of the audience members are shaking their heads saying, yes, yes, they know, because they are a part of that as well, which I think is very, very cool. I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about your partnership, because as you guys sit here on the stage, they are partners now. Collect and the Harlem Globetrotters, as they approach 100 years, have now turned to a partnership. Talk about the excitement behind that and why that was a driving force for all of you.
Okay, I'll go first. So yeah, as you mentioned, the Harlem Globetrotters turn 100 in 2026. For me, what's so incredible about that is when you think about that, right? When it's 1926, the first all-black professional basketball team, to go out there. The stories, the history, the trailblazing, the entry point for women in basketball, the Globetrotters have driven that over the past 100 years. So the idea and the prospect of partnering with Steve and Darren around all of that rich storytelling and how you can bring that to life in product that can connect with youth, that can connect with adults, that can connect with all those multi-generations through getting smart, getting creative, and tapping into their interest areas was just phenomenally exciting. So yeah, thrilled to have been bringing this to life with these guys.
I think the thing that really was exciting when we first started talking with Natalie and Keith was really the part about the interest in storytelling. There's so much that they've done historically when you go to a Globetrotters event that's merchandising driven. It's part of the experience. I think a lot of youth-oriented and family-oriented entertainment have got a great handle on merchandising. But this was one area that we were really, as the 100th anniversary was coming, we were really excited to dive into, which is how can we authenticate elements that come live from their 100th year right off the court and bring them into form, productize them, and bring them into places where kids can experience them and really savor that 100-year special moment in a collectible piece of memorabilia or something historic.
And it's not just it's the what, with the story, and then how do you deliver what kids expect in collectibles at the Harlem Globetrotters game. It's not just what they're going to get, it's the gamification. We live in a degenerate economy, whether it's gambling or Bitcoin, or my 11-year-old twin sons are opening up packs, and if they don't get a one-of-one gold foil, they literally throw it in the garbage 2 seconds later. So how do you gamify things? And we've spoken to the Globetrotters about doing things where, there's a game to it. You open up something and it might not be what they want, or it is definitely what they want, and then they want to trade it, and then they want to buy it, and then it goes to a secondary market like eBay. So, you have to, it's not just it's not just the collectible, it's taking what they see in the other world of collectibles that they're doing every day, that they see at card shows, and then how do you get it to your world?
It's interesting that you say that, because you're talking about the evolution of collectibles. And it used to be shoeboxes of cards, which I'm sure all of you have. I did as well, under my bed as a kid. Now it's digital, it's experimental. You're trying to be at the forefront of how this changes. It's even NIL driven at times now. Where do you see the biggest growth opportunities in youth sports collectibles over the next 10 years?
Yeah, for me, it's just in quality. I still have my Little League cards that were made.
A dot matrix printer.
Dot matrix printer and attached with rubber cement. But I think it hasn't evolved enough since then. Just to bring, there is a opportunity now to bring the quality of youth sports collectibles to what we see reflected in the regular market. And, that you could actually have, game-used patch cards. And you can have things that from the tournament become, if it's not in the parents' room, it's in the kids' room, and the quality matches again what's in the market, that opportunity is now here. So it goes beyond the posters and the pictures, and it really lies in the fact that, you know, you guys know the money that is captured here. Well, parents want to spend even more money. And if it's greater, they'll spend. That's what we've seen in companies that we've consulted with in teams and leagues and brands, that their customers, their fans will spend more money for better quality. It almost throws out what they know they have in their wallet if they see something that they've never seen before, or as I say, it's something that my wife will allow me to put in the general area instead of the small area that has been designated my man cave, that she will not let anyone see.
Aside from that, I think it also, we work with a lot of professional and college properties on the preservation side, and I think a big part of what's missing in the ecosystem of youth sports in this regard is the preservation of the values that come from the game that parents want to remember and hold sacrosanct as their child grows beyond playing, right? Some kids don't continue to play past a certain point, but I think to the parent, these memories are really, really special. And as a parent of 2 young athletes that are both in high school, I know our time is running out to not only preserve the memories of them being at their games or being on the court, but also what are we going to take and hold as parents to remember it by and share with them, let alone the photos that generally exist. Is there anything else that can be memorable and authentic that comes from their actual time on the field that can be commemorative in a way that is really special to hold on to? And for obviously anyone that plays the game and moves on to the college and the pro level, those collectibles will be cherished by collectors at a much broader basis, right? We were celebrating Paul Skeens' debut patch card as a Pittsburgh Pirate, but what about his 9-year-old debut patch card in the future, right? And I think that's where there's a whole open door to collectibles and the parents and kids that will celebrate them, you know, into the future, that we're really excited to participate in.
There's something that has not been contemplated before, which is what happens if you allow the people, the parents, the kids, to have some collectible from the people that they play, and then at this level, at the LakePoint level, at the best of the best, there is some excitement with, like, oh my God, of course we lost the championship game, but I have a piece of that guy's glove, you know, and now I'm rooting for him to do well.
How much is in the general area now? Has your wife allowed?
All collect products, but not.
We're getting there.
Not much.
You guys have shown me some examples too on the call that we had before this, and it's really, really cool. And I know that when you show parents of athletes and younger athletes as well examples of what this could look like, what's the reaction?
They're excited. I mean, to put it mildly, that was a worse way to say excitement. They're excited, but they're really excited. I mean, honestly, like, there's just so many new forms of collectibles. Darren's going to show you an example here in a second, but I think that's the stuff that we're excited to work with properties to also do, is dream up. Think collectibles that have never been built before, right? There's a lot of examples of merchandise that exist, but when we break it down, and the word collectible is just like a word like culture. It's like overused. It's got 71 meanings, but I think the basis of it is trying to identify products that have a story. And when you can get to their story level, and then you're buying a product or you're acquiring a product, and you're really acquiring its story, it connects with youth now differently, because to them, you know, living in the social media lifestyle, they're really focused on getting access to stories. The reason that they love nostalgia and physical products is because they live in an all digital world, right? So those products are actually representations of their future that they can show. It becomes like a badge of identity that they own something, they own its story they can share, they can tell. That's the currency that they trade in. And, you know, that's where when you start to develop really cool products like he's going to show, it actually fortifies what kids today care about in this form versus our generation.
Yeah, this is the kind of the lowest level, but just great quality. And if you guys want to see this up close, be glad to show it to you after. But we knew St. John's was going to win the Big East title. We went to Madison Square Garden and said, what can we get? They said, well, the Carpenters Union is going to scrape the floor and you have to actually let them put this stuff in the garbage, but then you can take it out of the garbage. So that's what I did. And you get here a piece of the bench towel, a piece of the confetti, a piece of the Gatorade logo. You flip it around, you get a piece of the St. John's logo. You get a piece of the three-point line. They had to take that off because MSG has the professional three-point line. That was the college three-point line. And you get a piece of the Big East logo. And you numbered it to 100, hand-numbered it, sold it for $200, and sold it out. So, you know, you turn...
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but that's something that you hang on to forever, and it brings up different memories when you look at it as well. You're talking about, you know, down to the second of what happened in that game, but when you see it and when you have a piece of it, you get to talk about it, you get to reminisce, you get to show the people around you that you care about those moments that you cared about as a kid as well, which I think is very cool. Natalie, the Globetrotters, as we all know, have inspired so many generations of human beings. How do you preserve that legacy while also capturing the attention of some of these younger generations, kids who, as we've mentioned, are scrolling so fast on their phones, and that's kind of where they live? How do you balance that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's a fine balance. You know, as we talk about our audiences, it's anyone from 5 to 95. You know, the age of the Globetrotters. When we talk to partners, to friends, to people, everyone's got their Harlem Globetrotters story, and that's incredible, but it's also, that's a legacy that you have to continue to live up to. But over all these decades, the way people are consuming content, the way they're interacting with brands is just fragmented so much. You have to be everywhere where your consumers are consuming. So, you know, for us, this idea of the Harlem Globetrotters being this global live tour and that only is just not enough. So, you know, and exactly reaching those new audiences, you can't show up in a city one day a year and expect everyone to love and engage with your brand. You have to be across all of social. You have to utilize your players, your talent as content creators, as influencers in their own right. You have to partner with incredible partners that can allow you to reach audiences with different creative, apparel collaborations, to collectibles, to trading cards, to video games. You know, and so we've been on this kind of big journey over these past sort of 4 years to really make sure that everywhere where consumers are consuming any and all forms of content, including product, that the Globetrotters are there and creatively executed in a way that drives appeal, drives engagement and fandom. And it's a journey, and we're still on it. But, you know, back on TV for the first time in 40 years, but still, you know, there's a lot more work to be done that we continue to drive and continue to challenge ourselves with.
Starting to bridge the gap between generations too, because, you know, kids' parents out there saying Harlem Globetrotters, I grew up watching them, and now their kids can be associated with it as well, which I think is very awesome.
Yes.
We're running out of time here, so I want to fast forward to 5 years for each of you. I know it's hard to look ahead in the future. What does success look like for you, for Collect and for the Globetrotters? Any one of you can take it first.
For me, it's to make sure that every place that can be monetized, you know, in this world, and preservation and monetization, right? So, like, that teams know what they're doing. They're thinking about standard operating procedures in terms of collecting. They know how to collect. They know when the moments happen they collect. There's no question when something happens in the locker room. What happens? We take it, we bag it, we tag it, we decide what we're doing with it before it even happens. And so in 5 years, to basically see every part of the memorabilia industry professionalized at a Six Sigma level, you know, I think that can be done, and in the interest of history and making money, I think it will be done, and I think we'll be a major partner to many of the organizations to make that happen.
To add to that, I also would love us to become, you know, the basis for data and technology in this space. I think we have a lot of opportunity because we're not right now a D2C company to focus specifically on building technology that helps companies fortify what Darren was talking about in those preservation and monetization moments, but also leads us to become the oracle of data for this industry to provide it to brands and other companies that would like to really tap into it.
And I think from my side, I mean, gosh.
The Globetrotters are 105 years old.
When they're 105.
Celebrating our 5th year of partnership with Collectibles.
Yeah. No,
Manifest it. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I would just hope that we are, like I say, I mean, storytelling, that we're connecting with fans and audiences everywhere and anywhere. And then to the youth sports side, that young basketball athletes really understand and see the Harlem Globetrotters as a destination for their future as well. So, yes, there is the G League. Yes, there is the NBA. There is a finite number of slots there. So I think, we want to make sure that young athletes are really looking at the Globetrotters as a relevant, exciting, dynamic organization as well to be part of.
All of you in the industry of nostalgia, and it's very, very cool to hear from all of you when it comes to the future of everything collectibles, nostalgia, et cetera. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Round of applause. You guys can head off that. Thank you so much. You were wonderful. Yeah, Darren, thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it. You were great. Wonderful, very cool, innovative stuff to think about. I know some of you are sitting back there thinking, what am I going to do with those cards under my bed? Well, fear not, because it's going to change, and you're going to see more and more innovations when it comes to collectibles in the future. Up next, I want to introduce Cameron Korab to the stage for our next conversation. Reigns to you, my friend.
Test. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Maria. I'm Cameron Korab, and as Maria said, I am the founder of the Youth Sports Business Report. And simply put, the Youth Sports Business Report was founded on the ideology of telling stories around media, data, and deals, which just so happens is our topic of conversation for today. So, quick shout out to the best dressed man in all of youth sports, Mark O'Brien, for having me, and Maria for letting me steal a little bit of time, but really excited to dive in. So let's meet our panelists. First we have Nick Busto, VP of Video Operations from Sports Engine. Welcome, Nick. Great shoes. And next we have David Rudolph, founder of Play on Sports. Welcome, David. All right, gentlemen, we can take a seat. So, David, anything new?
Slow week for me.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we corrected the slide, did we? Yeah, I used to say CEO. I gave up that title this week, and I have moved over into a role heading up streaming for Playout. So, yes, it was quite an active week.
Couple new LinkedIn followers, maybe?
Yeah, we were joking before. That's my least favorite thing about being a part of a big announcement is I think I'm at 240 invites in the last 48 hours. So if I haven't gotten back to you, I will eventually.
That's light work. So we'll jump into our first topic here. We're going to talk about the distribution evolution in youth sports content. So the current scale in youth sports streaming comes from the sheer volume of games, not necessarily the audience size per game, as we're all attuned to. So this raises a very fundamental question of, can youth sports content ever break through beyond the family and friends audience, or is hyperlocal viewership actually its true value prop? So Nick, why don't we start with you, and then David, we can move on.
Yeah, I'd say both a little bit. And it depends, I think, on what your vision is and who your customer is, right? Who you're trying to serve. So for us at Sports Engine Play, we live for the hyperlocal, right? We're trying to be there for every moment, for every game, really with the intent of serving that fan community, the parent, grandparent, that athlete, that core group. And I think with all the discussion around the youth sports industry, one of the things that gets left out is really how messy it is. Youth sports are messy. Taking a couple hundred games in a weekend for one event doing that dozens of times over thousands of games over the course of a weekend is hard.
Yeah.
And live sports are hard with the network. And so putting live sports and youth sports together is really challenging. So for us, doing that well, that's number one. That's the fundamental. And if you do that well at scale, you start to find yourself in buildings like this. We've got cameras here, partners like LakePoint or Prep Baseball or Puma Hoops, and then you start to see content that, well, maybe this is pretty good content. Maybe it can start to be worthy of elevated production or elevated distribution. And so we've started to test that out. I mean, fortunately, having roots kind of DNA, being a media company, both in NBC historically and now in Versant. If you look at Puma Hoops, I think we stream 10,000 plus games a year. Top 10 of those are on Peacock. If you stream the Babe Ruth Cal Ripken World Series, we had the semifinals and finals on CNBC. I think the Little League World Series kind of validates the notion that there can be an audience, but at the same time, that's an outlier, right? That's been, 50 plus years in the making for ESPN. So I think the biggest difference between what we do on an everyday basis and trying to elevate that production is storytelling.
Yep.
And if I'm a youth athlete or a youth sports parent and I turn on the TV, why do I care, right? What's the story behind this kid? Where are they going to college? How many times have these teams played? What's at stake? And I think for us, between what we've done in tests and obviously using something like the League World Series as a little bit of a North Star, that storytelling component is really where you have to focus to kind of cross that chasm.
Yeah, and I'd say from my aspect, right, the storytelling pieces are the pieces that the broader audience loves to see. And don't get me wrong, the high school students, David, probably as you can attest to, love being a part of, right? And NIL is, I believe, driving a lot of that. So, David, if you want to comment on any of the...
Yeah, what you said, will it ever break through?
Will it ever break through?
Yeah, I mean, like those of you who know me, like I'm never short to have a firm opinion. Doesn't mean I'm about 51% right. So I'll go firm opinion on this one. No, that's I think it's fundamentally a local, hyper-personalized product, and I think that's a feature of the product, and I think you have to lean into that. Now, never is a long time. So there's always the exceptions. There's the team, there's the story, there's the athlete, there's the game that breaks through, that captures national attention. You said Little League World Series, and what popped to mind was the female pitcher from a few years ago. So there's always those that pop through and kind of, but it's really, really difficult to build a business and a scaled business around those one-off moments because they're so unpredictable. So I think you have to build your foundation of the business on the long tail, on the hyper-personalized, and then try to take advantage when you have things like those storylines that break through.
Yeah, definitely. And that leads us nicely into our second topic, which is all around personalization versus parents will pay anything, which kind of sounds like a Jeopardy topic. So parents fundamentally care about their kids, sometimes their kids' teams, but rarely anything beyond that. So you guys are speaking about personalization. How do you create truly personalized products and things that parents and maybe grandparents and scouts want to interact with and value and versus I'm putting this product out there because I know parents are going to pay top dollar for this product?
Yeah, David, you want to go first? I do think personalization is a big piece of it. I think if you kind of take a step back to the question that I think a lot of people, and Mark says this consistently well, is who's your customer and how can you deliver the best experience possible? And so I think creating a personalized experience is one element, and creating a simple experience is the other. So the combination of kind of personalization, simplicity, and when you look at that in a video and streaming world, is how do you get me to my content as fast as possible? And if you take a step back more broadly within kind of just consumer trends, you've got, I don't know, Netflix telling you what to watch, TikTok algorithms, even I think the new ESPN app has a sports center for you, right? Create your own sports center. And so when you add the elevated emotion of youth sports into that, and you infuse that there, it only creates a greater opportunity, a greater responsibility to do that. So our goal is to, I've always said, kind of, we strive to create an experience where, whether you're at the game, whether you're watching the live stream, or maybe you're stuck in traffic coming home, you have the highlights from the person you care about most delivered directly to your phone in real time. Are we there yet? No. But I think when you think about personalization and content in youth sports, while we live for the long form and the live stream, personal highlights are kind of the currency. And so that's really where we're headed. So I do think that's right.
And Nick, maybe a second part of that, as we're sitting in this wonderful facility, you know, plenty of operators come through here. Are you relying on the operators at the facility, or are you trying to take that, you know, and go one step further in the personalization?
It's a great question. It is ever evolving, and it depends on the nature of the partnership. There is so many, obviously when you have someone like LakePoint who really takes a pride in Corey McCartney, I know you're somewhere, like takes a pride in their storytelling, their content creation. What a gift to be able to work together and have that drive into what we do on the live streaming side. But there's plenty of partners we have where we do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? And we're kind of responsible for taking that on. And so I think for us, it's to be able to have a playbook that we can kind of run consistently when there's not that infrastructure or not that support. But then when you do have someone like a LakePoint, it just makes it that much better.
Yeah, no doubt. David?
Yeah, I mean, high school is complex. I am thankful, though, high school owns its own facilities. So I do not envy the complexity you have to deal with, because I'm assuming at times it's a trilateral situation where you've got to get the club or the team and the facility, and then sometimes there's tournament operators as well in the mix. So we don't have that complexity in high school. Yeah, I mean, my quick answer on this is when I spun this business out of Turner 17 years ago, I focused on the high school space for a couple of reasons. Three. I won't bore you with all three. One of them, though, was the passion that the fans have for the players who are on the field, which, from my experience at the time, and even now having two that have gone through high school, it's equal to what you see in the U.S., the same passion level at the college or pro. It's just a smaller number of people per game. But when it's your kids, you are very passionate about what happens. So I'll answer first from the capitalist perspective and then from the parent perspective. You know, from the capitalist perspective, passion equals how easy is it to create a business model that works. If there's a lot of passion, you'll figure it out. If the passion is soft, you're going to have to really fine-tune, and you'll probably struggle to figure out what is the right business model. So the passion is there for us in the high school market, and that's made it pretty easy to figure out the business model. From the parent side, I'm sure we could charge probably twice as much as we do.
Yep.
I always get confused between elastic and inelastic. It's one of those.
I didn't pay attention.
But the thing, so you can do it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You still have to deliver a great product. And I think you've got to find that right price point that matches the experience that you're delivering to the fan with what you're charging for it. But in general, if you deliver a great experience for parents around their kids, it is not very hard to get people to purchase that product.
Yeah, that's great. With a couple more minutes left, we want to go to our third question, and that's around consolidation question. Obviously, as we know, there's a significant amount of investment that's going into youth sports, and parents are citing one major pain point, and that is the F word, fragmentation. So they want a simplified, consolidated experience across the entire youth journey, from registration to check-in to streaming to highlights, stats, scheduling, etc., ideally in one ecosystem on one app. So what are you guys seeing in the market around this demand for a full stack solution, you know, at your own firms or, you know, out in the marketplace in general? David, you want to go first?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can do this because we're either accused or expected to be one of the companies doing this consolidation. And we've certainly done quite a bit of it in high school. But I think as you look broader across youth sports, and the way I define youth sports, high school is a segment of that. It's not all of it, it's a piece of it. And by the way, I'm a parent of 3 kids, again, 2 either through high school or in high school. I have all those apps on my phone. I have all our apps, which is NFHS Network, GoFan, and Max Preps, but I also have Sports Engine and Playmetrics and Team Snap, and at different points of this 19 years as a parent, I've used all of them. I think it's a great thesis posed by, I have to be careful with my words here, investors who have little experience operating. And I do think you will see consolidation. So I don't think that trend will go. It is a lot easier to put on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper than it is to execute. Because back to, at the end of the day, just putting companies together doesn't do very much. You have to integrate the technology, you have to integrate the consumer experience. Otherwise, you make it a clunky experience for fans, and that's not gonna work well. We have seen examples of this where things have been rolled together and not integrated, and that has not gone well. So I do think the folks who are in this space and who are thinking about this or working on it are taking a more thoughtful approach. But when you look at the broader, I was joking a little bit about the dynamics in the youth space between the venues and the tournaments and the clubs. There's also the complexity of each sport's pretty unique. Yeah. If you look at the fabric in terms of by vertical, by sport, and then the different point solutions within it, so whether it's registration or communication or streaming or go through, it's a lot of logos in there. And so to go through that exercise, to integrate all of that, that's not gonna happen. I think you'll probably see some integration by sport, would be my guess, because that's a little bit easier, and that way you can build a continuous experience. But if you're a parent and has 1 kid in soccer and 1 kid in gymnastics and 1 kid in basketball, you're probably gonna be using at least 3 different apps for the foreseeable future, is my guess.
So create your own folder in the phone, or?
Multiple folders, probably. Okay. One per kid.
Okay, got it.
Or to your point, 1 per sport.
Yep. Yes.
I think, David, what you said resonates most commonly when you're talking about the experience, right? What is the experience that a given customer has, and whether that customer is a parent, whether it's the athlete, whether it's the event operator, whether it's the facility, the youth sports organization. Just saying that right there goes to show the various customers in the youth sports market, right? And so I think when you think about consolidating, and how we think about it is like, how can we create a better experience? And if I look more focused in kind of our Sports Engine play bubble, it's okay, well, Sports Engine has a history of making acquisitions, so we have the benefit of having tools throughout the ecosystem, and so how can we use those tools and then also partner with tools on the outside? And there's definitely consolidation coming within the ecosystem, but in the meantime, how can we use the tools at our disposal? So if you think about, take one sport, volleyball, for example, you have a tournament operator, maybe they come through LakePoint, they use AES, Sports Engine's event management software, right? We're able to get the schedules, the rosters from AES. We turn the cameras on, they start streaming, we know what games are being played. We have an external partner, Volley Station, doing the electronic score sheets. So now we have live scores that are on the stream, we have scores that are on AES, and because we have that scoring data, the roster data, the schedule data, then we're able to start to deliver those kind of real-time highlights like we were just talking about. And so that's kind of a using both internal tools as well as external tools in the market to be able to hopefully try and improve that experience or streamline that experience for both, I guess, the event operator, so they don't have to do anything additional, but also the parent, so they're kind of getting that that simplified experience.
No, that's great. And with our last couple minutes, Nick and I are new fathers, so we're talking behind stage. David, give us one piece of advice as a youth sports parent, as new dads.
Yeah, I told you I wasn't going to give you my answer. I'll start with, I'm jealous.
Right.
I truly, like, They're both at right around a year. Is that what you said? Those aren't. I told them those aren't the easiest years, but it's such a fun journey. You know, I think if I could talk to myself 17 years ago, I think what I'd say is be present, and that's the be there. I mean, I jokingly said when I started playing, I did it so that when my kids were in high school, I could never miss one of their games. I didn't realize it was going to take me 17 years to actually create that, but it is such a gift to be able to watch the games when I can't be there, but physically being present is part of it. Second part is put the phone down, watch the game. Hopefully it's because we're streaming it, we're capturing it for you, and you can relive it afterwards. But it drives me crazy. I've actually gotten to become one of those like cranky old dads on the sideline where I'm telling folks like, put your phone down. It's like, just watch the game and cheer, and but don't watch the game through a screen. Watch it, be a part of it. You're about to have a journey and memories that'll define your life and define your kids' life. So have fun.
All right, Nick, good? All right.
Incredible, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nick and David. That's our time. Appreciate LakePoint and Mark O'Brien for having us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everyone, how are we doing? We're good? Oh, you guys are not alive. Was the lunch good? It's great, right? Round of applause if you guys are still with me. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gonna keep the energy up because we've got one more panel for you, and I promise you, you're not gonna wanna miss this. They are very energetic, very fun, and they're gonna talk about something that I know a lot of you have a ton of interest in, which is soccer. These are all soccer gurus joining me on stage right now for growing the world's biggest sport, FIFA World Cup ripple effect, which we all want to know about, right? Please welcome to the stage Bria Garner, Sherry Summers, and Dave Smith. Bria. Hi, Dave. Great to see you guys. Wow, if that video doesn't get anyone fired up, I don't know what to do. Woo! Woo is right. What a fun group of people we have up here with me. And just to start, to ice break a little bit, there's a connection, which you know about, but I'm going to tell the audience. Bria and Dave over here go back years and years and years. Is that correct?
That is correct. I had the pleasure of coaching Bria for 7 or 8 years, I think. So all the way back until she went off to college.
Yes, very transformative years. He was a part of my life, so very special to be on stage with him today.
Bria is a superstar too. She played soccer at the University of Georgia, and now she is doing great things with the Coca-Cola Company. And all three of you are incredibly excited about FIFA World Cup coming here. We are 8 months away, folks, from the biggest event on the planet right here in our backyard. It means so much. We've talked about it throughout the afternoon. What a World Cup can do for not only youth sports, but a community. It's immeasurable. It's incredible what this event does. Speaking of the fact that we are 8 months away, which time is ticking, you guys are all very well aware. Tell us about what the viewpoint is for each of your organizations behind a World Cup coming here to Atlanta and being involved in it. Sherry, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and kick off, yeah. So I'm currently at the U.S. Soccer Federation in the Chief Soccer Growth role, where I think as we think about what the impact is, I liked the term that was used earlier of a generational moment, but we really look at this as the legacy impact. And so this is a starting point. But really, we hope this continues to build and has momentum as we think about 26, as we think about LA 28, as we think about 2031 for the Women's World Cup, which we are the sole bidder of, and beyond. And so a lot of the work and the perspective that we have taken to date is what is that legacy and how it's not just about U.S. soccer, but it's working with FIFA, our pro leagues, the Mexican and the Canadian Football Federation on some of the legacy goals around access, around safe places to play. And similarly, as we think about activating in our local communities across the country, how are we working together with our partners, our philanthropic donors, our members, et cetera, on how we're actually going to really make the impact on the ground with underserved communities, with schools, with neighborhoods, you name it. And so that's really the lens of when we look at this moment in time, it's the starting point that we hope to really take forward.
How do you think this is going to redefine soccer in the U.S.?
I mean, for me, let's go back to '94 when that really laid the foundation for MLS and kind of the launch of that league. You go to '99 and the 99ers on the women's side and really starting to just inspire the female generation and start the conversation on gender equity. That's the type of impact that this type of tournament can and should have. And that is the type of generational impact that I think we want to be able to move forward with some pretty specific goals, especially around access and opportunity across the country.
I think that your days are very busy right now.
Absolutely. There's no shortage of things to do. But I do want to just emphasize that this is not just a U.S. soccer mission. This is how we, and you heard this earlier, even with Arthur M. Blank and the work that he's doing, we're partnering with host cities. We're understanding how everyone can really have an opportunity to take this moment in time and see the impact for years and years to come.
It's really cool. It's a moment in time, but it is going to have a lasting impact, as you guys will all talk about, and that you have mentioned already, Sherry. For you, Bria, you're the Director of Integrated Marketing for FIFA World Cup 2026 at the Coca-Cola Company. So you are living all things FIFA World Cup right now. Tell us a little bit about some of the experiences on a fan level that people are going to get to participate in when the World Cup comes to town here in 8 months.
Yeah, so how we're approaching it from a Coke lens is truly a 360 marketplace activation. So when I say that, I'm talking about experiential activations at Fan Fest and Stadium Fan Experience, exclusive opportunities that only Coke can bring, like flag bearers, ball crew, coin toss, how we're showing up in retail with our customers, how we're having red zones across the host cities of like turning the town red to represent our brand, how we're showing up with our community partners and the youth soccer community, and also how we're showing up digitally and socially and through our media plan. So there is a lot to plan and a lot going on, but there's so much that we want to meet the consumers and the fans where they're at and in how they connect with the sport. And I think what's really going to set us apart as a brand, though, is the anticipation of what's coming and that legacy that we want to leave. So although we're thinking about all these experiences that the fans can witness during tournament time and leading up to tournament time, it's really about how can we potentially redeploy these programs that you're seeing for other partnerships like U.S. Soccer and MLS? How do we redeploy it in communities, in our youth soccer communities? FIFA Women's World Cup is coming up in 2027, LA 28, and then the next FIFA World Cup cycles in 2030 and 2031, where hopefully we're hosting 2031. So, you know, I think we have to anticipate and think big picture of how we have lasting value with all the, you know, experiences that we bring to fans.
Bria, you've been a part of the game your entire life.
Yes.
And you played it at the collegiate level, and now you get to be around it again in a professional space through a different lens.
Yes.
When you think about the FIFA World Cup, what kind of an impact does that bring?
It's honestly hard to put into the words. I think from a personal standpoint, this is like dream job, pinnacle of my career of working on a FIFA World Cup, right? It's, you know, I did have dreams of going pro at some point, but just due to injuries, that wasn't possible. But then now I'm able to still impact the game in a way that's really special and really cool, and Coca-Cola allows me to do that. So internally grateful for that. But on the side of working for a brand like Coke and having the resources to invest in communities, invest in youth soccer, invest in a sport that has done so much for me, giving me confidence, life skills, access to things that I might not have access to, and just have truly fallen in love with the game. So leveraging, Coke as that foundation to make that impact, and FIFA World Cup is one of, the biggest moments you can do it with. So.
And congratulations that you get to do that when you dream of moments like this as a kid. I know that's pretty awesome.
Definitely. Thank you.
I'm excited for you. Dave, for you, as the executive director at NASA Top Hat, how does your organization view the World Cup?
We're obviously super excited about it coming to town. Every year there's a major event. It always kicks your registration numbers up a little bit. We're probably projecting a 10 to 15% bump this year, and that's not just my club, it's across everybody. But I'm excited that a lot of people are going to get exposed to it, especially here in Atlanta, at a different level. I have friends that talk about, Alabama playing Auburn down at Mercedes-Benz, and what a crazy environment that turns out to be. And I've told them to get some tickets and go see this, because this is a completely different level. So we're excited of it. We have some activation things set up as well. We'll have some viewing parties out on the fields. We're working with a local movie theater to get them to let us put a game on in the movie theater and use that as a fundraiser as well. So the impact it has, exposing the sport to another generation of kids, is a fantastic opportunity for the sport as a whole, for my organization, and for everybody in Atlanta. Having 8 games here and one of them being a semifinal is, when I first came here in '91, I would have never dreamed that that would happen down here in Atlanta, but it is, and we're super excited about it.
I know that the excitement level is through the roof, not just with us 4 up here, but everyone in the room as well. You cannot go a week without hearing FIFA World Cup in some kind of conversation, not just because we work in it, but people are excited. That excitement is real. It'll bring people from all over the world, every corner of this globe. They'll be here in Atlanta. That is such an exciting opportunity. How do you capitalize on that at the grassroots level? When you talk about the 10 to 12% bump that you'll see, how do you make sure that that is a lasting impact for you?
That's on top of the club. We'll generate the interest, or the World Cup will help us generate the interest, and then we have to make sure that we're doing a good enough job creating the right environment. The higher kids get in competitive sports, the more serious it becomes, and people tend to lose sight of fun, and it's why Bria started playing, it's why everybody starts playing. So we need to make sure that we focus on that, and my particular club spends a lot of energy on 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, because if we can get them inside of our program, if we can provide them with the right experience, then the thought is hopefully we get them to come all the way through the club their entire career, kind of like Bria did. So that's what we're interested in. That's what we think the biggest impact will be at the grassroots level, just more kids playing. And U.S. Soccer has done a great job coming in and providing pitches in areas that couldn't afford them before. And I think that's going to help. Just the whole picture is going to get bigger here in Atlanta. And the stuff that Arthur Blank's done since he landed that helicopter on top of that building in 2016 or whenever it was, his impact on the sport. Everyone knows him from Home Depot and the Falcons, but Atlanta United had that great run. His impact on the sport here and across the country, even worldwide now, with his commitment to U.S. Soccer. Can't say enough good things about what Arthur's brought to it, but I think everything's in place for it to grow even bigger, so we're excited about it.
You mentioned the building different pitches all over the community. He's been doing that, and more of those are coming, which I think is very exciting. But you bring up a very interesting point that I know, Sherry, you're interested to talk about in particular. I know you all are. We're seeing this major private investment flood into youth soccer academies right now in clubs. Dave, you're shaking your head. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Is that acceleration good for the game, or does it risk widening the gap in access? Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think first, just the fact that there's so much more investment coming in, I think is a reflection of the opportunity that in an exciting way youth sports is growing, and there's scale potential, there's engagement potential, there's commercial value potential, and I think there's a huge opportunity on some of the positive outcomes that can come of that. I think first, when you think about infrastructure, investment into modernizing facilities, operations, elevating the experience can be a really big positive for players, for coaches, et cetera. When you think about innovation, we know, and something that we deal with at U.S. Soccer quite a bit, is this is a very big country. And without technology, like that has to be a way that we think through reach, especially in hard to reach areas that don't have the saturation of soccer and options within that. So technology and investment has to be a lever that we continue to think through. How does that unlock access? How does that unlock opportunity? And similarly, even when you mentioned the academy programs, when you think about the talent development pathways, with strategic investment that helps open up opportunities and better opportunities for coaches and players, I think there's a lot that can be done in the space. Now, obviously, you mentioned risks. When you put profit, when you put short-term ROI at the forefront, there are those risks. There are risks of challenges on misaligned incentives, or as you think about goals for accessibility, there's always that potential. But I think with strong governance, that's something that can be addressed and really turned into a positive. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this continues to evolve, continues to go, because I think there's a lot of potential there, but obviously some of the challenges that we want to make sure we're mitigating and thinking through.
Yeah, it's just starting, and it's definitely going to ramp up here in the next couple of years for sure. Dave is seeing it at the forefront right now, but Bria, I want you to talk about it from a brand perspective. What does that look like, and do you feel like it's widening the gap in access potentially?
I believe so. I think from a brand perspective, and I'll say a brand like Coca-Cola, because we're not a Nike or an Adidas where you would think like we're endemic to the sport. Yes, we play a role in the growth of the sport, but is it really our job to grow the game? So I think for us, it's partnering with the right federations, and like U.S. Soccer is one of our partners that one of their missions is growing the sport. And so how do we partner with them to not narrow that gap, but widen it and create that accessibility, because that's super important to us. And I think a goal of ours as a brand is to make sure, coming out of FIFA World Cup and the legacy that we leave, it's more so how do we make soccer not just a growing sport, but more of a mainstream experience, so that, 10 years from now, it is a top 3 sport, competing with the likes of NFL and NBA. So that is a goal from us from a brand perspective, but we have to partner with the right people like U.S. Soccer and MLS and the youth soccer organizations to support them in making that happen.
So there is some positives to it. You just need to make sure you're making the right moves.
Correct.
Dave, for you were shaking your head yes the whole time. You've seen this happening. Here recently, more than ever, of course, this major private investment flood into specifically youth soccer academies and clubs. Same question, is that acceleration good for the game, or is it widening the access?
I think it really comes down to who manages it and what oversight exists on it. If it's handled the right way, it's going to be fantastic, right? More money, more kids can play, you can build more fields. I think most of the major soccer organizations in Atlanta, at least, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on financial aid. But it's the kids that are in a part of town or in an environment where they don't even know too much about NASA Top Hat or any of the other big clubs. It's going to change a lot. One of the battles we have at our club, I probably get half a dozen phone calls a week from private equity now, and this has happened in the last 6 months. We turn away probably a little over 1,000 players every year just because we don't have enough field space. So, and we're very particular about the space we have. We figure how many kids we can properly train in that space and provide a good environment, opposed to just throwing the barn door open and having everybody come in and then you're trying to sort it out. So we turn those kids away because we don't have the proper space to manage it and run the program the right way. So we're constantly, talking to Mark up here at LakePoint or whoever about opportunities to expand and build fields. I think that's where the private equity is going to have a huge impact. And there's buzz out there now. I think it's going to have an even bigger impact on the Women's Pro League in the next couple years here in Atlanta, or in the U.S. as a whole, really.
You touched on that a little bit at the end, but where do you see this going?
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So Bria and I were talking back when she played, and by the way, injuries are the only reason she didn't get an opportunity to play pro soccer. But back when she played, everything was under USY, right? So we had one thing everybody did Now you have MLS Next, you have the ECNL, you have the DPL, you have the Girls Academy League, you have the Girls Aspire League, you have US Club. I mean, it's alphabet soup and it's crazy, and I'm in the middle of it and I don't have it all straight. So I think we're in a great situation, and I think there's no ceiling to what it can become. It's making sure the right people are in charge of it at the right levels for it to turn out the right way, or it could take an ugly turn one direction or another. But I'm confident with the people that are involved. I've had an opportunity to meet with some of the people down at US Soccer. Having them here in Atlanta is fantastic. I think we have the right people in place to try to manage this as it goes forward. But it's going to be a challenge, you know. Money talks, and so people get listened to when they're in the room and they have that type of power. So more people like Arthur Blank and it's in a great space. So we just got to make sure that those people are the ones that get a hold of the steering wheel.
It's crazy because, as I've mentioned all afternoon, being here for the last 4 years, the conversations have changed and grown and evolved. You fast forward to 4 years from now, we're going to have a totally different conversation about what you're saying, which I think is very fascinating. Bria, back to you with Coca-Cola and the World Cup. When you take on an event like this, when you're a part of an event like this, what does legacy really mean in this scenario, and how are you making sure that this impact lasts for communities far after the World Cup is out of here in 8 months?
Definitely. So Coke has been a long-standing partner of FIFA, almost like 50 years, I want to say. And so from a global perspective, we know that this is a tournament and a cultural moment, really, that billions unite just to like enjoy, and that shared passion, that joy, and that excitement around this tournament. But I think what we're focusing on, us being a host country for this, and kind of what I mentioned previously, is like, how are we creating experiences and making soccer in North America a mainstream sport? And so that is really our goal with this, and the legacy that we want to leave. I think, you know, you say legacy, and that is something that we start our meetings with, I want to say, like every week, because I think how do we shape our programs? How do we create sustaining initiatives that'll last long after the final whistle? So that's really important to us, and I think an example of that is, a few of our exclusive assets that we have, coin toss, flag bearers, ball crew, like I mentioned. Majority of those spots will be youth, because that is a very important audience to us, but we know we have a responsibility to inspire them and excite that next generation around this sport and around our brand, of course. But yeah, it's really just important to us how we're thinking about it in the front end of shaping these programs and making sure it's something that can last beyond this tournament. And, like I mentioned, there's tournaments happening in the next 4 or 5 years that'll be really crucial cultural moments for us. But the in-between moments is the moments we can't forget about, of like, you can't just get excited when the World Cup comes around, but how are we activating with US Soccer? How are we activating with MLS? How are we activating locally with youth soccer organizations? And we lean heavily on our bottler teams. I know Coke United's in attendance today, and a partner of LakePoint. How do we lean on them to make that impact locally? So we're kind of hitting it from a local lens, a national lens, and a global lens of leaving that legacy, for sure.
When you think of legacy, obviously it is something that lasts over a very long period of time, which is the goal for all three of you. After the World Cup leaves, you want something to remain that was very positive that came out of the World Cup. You see the bump in numbers, you see the impact that it has on youth sports, but how does it stay around is the biggest question. Sherry, for you, World Cup being the moment, it is the moment, 8 months from now, how does it become the legacy?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few things that we're focused on, but one in particular with the launch of our Soccer Forward Foundation. This is really around accessibility, it's around social impact. And so we've actually set out, I'll talk about 2 of our goals, one of which is, can we be the most accessible sport in the United States? And so by 2026 and beyond, we would love for everyone to have an opportunity within 15 minutes to be able to participate in a safe place to play soccer. And I think the second major initiative that we're really pushing forward is soccer in schools. So we would love by 2030, one of our targets is to have soccer available in every school around the country. And really that's about, when you think about how do you unlock access to the game, a lot of it is bringing soccer to where people are, and we think that's going to have a really positive, game-changing moment if we can accomplish those two things.
Dave, I'll let you wrap us up with how this can become something that is sustainable after the World Cup leaves.
Well, it's the World Cup and the exposure is going to open the door, and kids are going to come. We know that. Then it falls on the individual clubs. It falls on U.S. Soccer to make sure that we're providing an environment that they want to dig into and play their whole career. Especially on the girls' side, there are so many more options with lacrosse, flag football. It's more competitive, and you could see in one of the slides they had earlier, you could see how it trended down on the female side the older they got. So the World Cup's going to be fantastic. We're all excited about it. We know it's going to open the gates. We know we're going to get more players. All the clubs are. And then it comes down to, can we provide them with the right opportunities and the right environment to where this is something that they just can't wait to get back to and they want to come and play. So that's going to be on all the youth leaders that run clubs. It's going to be on U.S. Soccer. I'm excited U.S. Soccer's here because they're in our backyard now, and so we have that to lean on if we need it. So that's, I think, the key to it. Can the clubs do the right thing once we get the kids in the door to keep them here and make them fall in love with the game?
I can't wait till we have a conversation 3 years from now, and we're all talking about the successes of the World Cup that it brought to Atlanta, from the grassroots level to the national level. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate the time. Round of applause for our guests.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys will go this way. We'll go off this way. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. You were great. All right, everybody. I hope you learned a lot this afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us. This was an incredible afternoon of amazing conversations and stuff that we can learn from. And 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we'll be revisiting how much we learned from these very conversations this afternoon. Thank you to all of our sponsors here at LakePoint Sports. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes, Bex, Greg, Mark, all of you are incredible. It takes a village to put on an event of this magnitude, and they've been working very, very hard for months. So hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you next year. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
That we have each other, and for that we have each other.